actually turn Africa into a heaven in the next 5 years. It doesn't take time.
So
because I mean, like what I keep saying. Into a heaven in the next 5 years. It doesn't take time.
So
because I mean, like what I keep saying, you need to think big, then you grow big. You think small, you never grow.
Okay, but the reality is right now we're still relying on foreign partners. To create more African banks is going to take some time. So what's your solution?
Well, the solution is that right now people have seen exactly what what they've been doing. We don't expect the international banks to do, but we should also make sure that we have you see, for us to grow, we need a very strong financial institutions. We need to have good manufacturing base. We need to also face agriculture. All the other artificial intelligence and co, they will follow. It's part of the growth. But once we do that, we focus on our own mineral sources. I am telling you, Africa will be totally a different story. People now always come and talk about corruption. Of course, Africa is not the only place that you have corruption. Corruption is all over the place. The only difference is that our corrupt people, when they steal the money, they take it, they fly the money out of the continent. If they continue to invest here, fine, then the economy will grow. I mean, I apologize with respect to maybe countries like Indonesia before. I'm not talking about now. During Suharto, are you saying that there was no corruption? Of course, there was corruption. In all Thailand, corruption everywhere. But they were able to grow just because they did not do what we are doing in Africa, taking the money out of the continent, out of their Asian region. Okay, so I'm not saying that I encourage. All what I'm saying is that there's no society, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, everywhere that you think of, there is corruption. But our own is totally different, where now you deprive your country of the money, you deprive your family of the money, because you won't tell your family you've stolen money. So, you deprive everybody, then you now go and hide the money somewhere. When you die, the money will go into the banking system.
This is brilliant. I mean, I've never thought of corruption in this way.
To tell you the truth, okay, like now, somebody was asking me a question. I sent some people came to visit our own fertilizer, and I was telling them that, I've said it before in one forum, that in the next 40 months, Africa will not import fertilizer from anywhere. We have a very aggressive trajectory right now. We want to put Dangote fertilizer to be the largest producer of fertilizer, of urea, bigger and higher than Qatar. And watch me, 40 months. Give me 40 months.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I just thought I should cover this news that I saw about Dangote saying that they can transform the continent into a heaven in 5 years' time. Because I thought that was a remarkable statement for somebody like him to make. And he went on to talk about the corrupt practices of people like him, which is very interesting. He went on to talk about corrupt practices and he described what makes it damaging, which is something I know how I've said here, and I know a lot of people haven't necessarily disagreed with it. The fact that we are the ones that cause the damage by taking the money overseas. And but then again, you can also ask the question, why is it that we allow so many of our people to be demanding foreign currencies? Why can't we limit the amount you can demand? If you finish demanding that one, then it's enough for the year. Because there are certain things we have to start disciplining ourselves to doing. Because some of all these things is revealing. Because when people like us say it, people don't generally believe it. Even if they don't oppose it, they don't generally understand it. But when people at the very, very top is telling you that it's they themselves, the money they are taking overseas is what is causing the problem. How many of our leaders now, the president himself, does he not have money that he has invested overseas? Are all his money invested in Nigeria? No. The vice president, does he have all his money invested in Nigeria? Not likely. This is the problem with the country. You have people that totally invest everything overseas. Their children have properties overseas. And then they want the country to grow at the same time. Dangote himself is saying it, that let me play it again so that people can hear it from his own mouth, where the real damage is coming from. And he is telling people in front of, telling them corruption is not the issue. It's the fact that they are taking the money away. And this stuff, and it's counterintuitive for people to understand that corruption in itself is not the problem. Because corruption is meant to correct itself within a system. But if the funds that is meant to help heal the system is taken out, then it's like a human being bleeding. It's just how it is. But sometimes, if a man is going for boxing match and he wants to win the match, yes, you can punch the person will bleed, but as long as the blood remains in the body, generally, I'm not sure that's a very good example. Generally, the person is generally fine. At least they are not bleeding out. What our people, our leaders and our elites are doing, they have a culture of harvesting wealth from Nigeria and investing it overseas, which is a very, very damaging thing. Now, let me play it again.
Do that. We focus on our own mineral sources. I am telling you, Africa will do exactly what what they've been doing. We don't expect the international banks to do, but we should also make sure that we have you see, for us to grow, we need a very strong financial institutions. We need to have good manufacturing base. We need to also face agriculture. All the other artificial intelligence and co, they will follow. It's part of the growth. But once we do that, we focus on our own mineral.
You see, what he mentioned there are things to do with the economy. He never said anything about security, which is very interesting. And I really think that any of our leaders in Nigeria, if they want to talk about this type of things, they seriously need to be including security as number one. Because if it's not, if Jeff, is it Jez or Jeff Bezos? If I think it's Jeff Bezos, I can't be sure. Point is that Bezos, if he wants to talk about this about this, he's not going to mention security because America has already got it nailed. If Mike Zuckerberg or Elon Musk is talking about this, they're not going to talk about security. But if you are living in a country where you have a security problem, and I really think all our elites, the rich, including Dangote himself, should be putting that first as a demand for the government to fix. Because it's a big problem if you have a system whereby it's not secure and you keep talking about economy constantly. They do that quite a lot. It's almost like it's a reflex action for them now. They never really talk about, okay, take care of security, make sure you recruit more personnel to make sure that the country is safe and so that people don't feel safe in the country. And the people that want to come and invest in our businesses can be able to come in. But every time they keep talking about the economy constantly. But that said, he went on to say more stuff. So let me just play it again.
Sources, I am telling you, Africa will be totally a different story. You know, people now always come and talk about corruption, 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 corruption. Of course, Africa is not the only place that you have corruption. Corruption is all over the place. The only difference is that our corrupt people, when they steal the money, they take it, they fly the money out of the continent. If they continue to invest here, fine, then the economy will grow. I mean, I apologize with respect to maybe countries like Indonesia before. I'm not talking about now. During
Yeah, you heard what he said about corruption, the fact that we take the money overseas. And many of these funds that they take overseas, they don't get it back because according to him, when they die, because we don't know where the money is, the money disappears into the hands of foreigners. You can't even make that up. We keep taking our money and taking it overseas. That sickness has to be cured somehow because, and he is saying it there, but he's not saying what they can do to stop it. You know, he is saying it, but he's not saying what they can do to stop it. Why is he not recommending for the president to say, you know what, if you are in the elite class or you are a senior official, if you have things overseas, return them back to the country. Let them invest in the country that they are working on. Because if they have their money in Nigeria, if they have their investment in Nigeria, they are probably going to make sure Nigeria is functional. You'll be surprised how quickly people start taking care of things, business, when they know they are also at stake. Their own welfare is also at stake. Because these people, they will take the money overseas, then they destroy Nigeria. I don't know why he didn't comment on what the government can do to stop the money from being taken overseas. So let's carry on.
Harto, are you saying that there was no corruption? Of course, there was corruption. In all Thailand, corruption everywhere, but they were able to grow just because they did not do what we are doing in Africa, taking the money out of the continent, out of their Asian region.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not saying that I encourage. All what I'm saying is that there's no society, whether it's America, whether it's Europe, everywhere that you think of, there is corruption. But our own is totally different, where now you deprive your country of the money, you deprive your family of the money, because you won't tell your family you've stolen money. So, you know, you deprive everybody, then you now go and hide the money somewhere. When you die, the money will go into the banking system.
This is brilliant. I mean, I've never thought of corruption in this way.
To tell you the truth, okay, like now, somebody was asking me a question. I sent some people came to visit our own fertilizer, and I was telling them that, you know, I've said it before in one forum, that in the next 40 months, Africa will not import fertilizer.
Just watch how the face of the people in that room when he was talking about this. They look at them. There are very, very few people that show signs of being happy to hear that stuff that he was saying. They don't like to hear him revealing some of all these things. Just look at their face. Many of them have a stony face there. Let's see this.
Place that you have corruption. Corruption is all over the place. The only difference is that our corrupt people, when they steal the money, they take it, they fly the money out of the continent. If they continue to invest here, fine, then the economy will grow. I mean, I apologize with respect to maybe countries like Indonesia before. I'm not talking about now. During Suharto, are you saying that there was no corruption? Of course, there was corruption. In all Thailand, corruption everywhere, but they were able to grow just because they did not do what we are doing in Africa, taking the money out of the continent.
See, yeah, he's exactly correct. Because let me just explain the mechanism here so that people truly understand what he is actually saying there. If you steal money from government and you don't take the money overseas, what is the next best thing you're going to do with the money? You're going to find something to do with the money inside the country. Guess who is what is going to happen? Whatever you're going to do, you're not going to do it by yourself. You have to pay somebody to do it. You pay that person. Let's say you pay a banker to do the job. The banker will take the money, and the banker has to pay his driver. He has to pay his builder, the person that is building his house. He has to pay for the person that is sewing his clothes. He has to pay for he give to his pastor. By the time the money circulates in the economy, it's almost as if that person's corruption didn't damage the economy. You see what I mean? But if the money disappears and goes into a foreign economy, that money now will be used to spend in that economy. But while your country is without, that is one of the biggest damaging effect of corruption, not the actual corrupt practice itself. Because they are corrupt in the West too. They're corrupt in the West. It's just that their corruption stays within their system. But ours, we export it out, never to return again. And you wonder why all our sweat has never amounted to much in the country. And people they start losing hope and thinking that the only way to survive is just to behave badly. So that is the point he's making. And that is why I thought I should explain it, how it actually works, why that point he's making is very powerful. But the only problem is that he didn't say anything about how to solve it. And this is the thing Dangote does very well. He just lays down the problem and he doesn't describe any solution to it. Because he knows by saying those things, he gets the attention of the people. But that is the easy part, isn't it? Why doesn't he say what you need to do to stop it? Because if he says it, it's going to offend a lot of his friends. As a matter of fact, some people in that hall will not be happy. Look at some of their faces; it looked like stone. They were not very happy to be hearing what he was saying.
But once we do that, we focus on our own mineral sources. I am telling you, Africa will be totally a different story. You know, people now always come and talk about corruption. Of course, Africa is not the only place that you have corruption. Corruption is all over the place. The only difference is that our corrupt people, when they steal the money, they fly the money out of the continent. If they continue to invest here, fine, then the economy will grow.
See?
I mean, I apologize.
Are you seeing their faces? Do you see any of them joking about being happy to hear any of this?
With respect to maybe countries like Indonesia before, I'm not talking about now, during Suharto, are you saying that there was no corruption? Of course, there was corruption. In all Thailand, corruption everywhere, but they were able to grow just because they did not do what we are doing in Africa, taking the money out of the continent, out of their Asian region.
Owalele, you are correct here. Because if you leave the money inside the country, the bankers can also use it to provide loans for other businesses. The money circulates. About Dangote being a monopolistic actor in Nigeria, that is true. Of course, I don't know whether he deliberately wants to be a monopolist or others are just underperforming. Point is that he is mostly you can consider him a monopolist. That's the truth. But does that mean anything really? It doesn't mean much, because Google is a monopolist, Facebook is a monopolist. There are so many monopolies. ChatGPT is basically a monopolist. Most Western economies that we all our system is built upon in terms of the structure is built by monopolists. It's just the name of the game. And I don't think we should be seeing people like Dangote as a business even. What they truly represent is an arm of the Nigerian power or economic power, an arm of the Nigerian economic power. That is what it is. Make no mistake. When you look at Google, that is an arm of America's data power or a form of economic power too, depending on how you want to call it. Those things, they represent something for the nation that they come from. They are not just everyday companies. The WhatsApp is one of the reasons why, according to the Iranian news, they said WhatsApp is one of the reasons many of their people were able to be taken out by Israel, because many of their citizens were talking on WhatsApp. And because, when you're talking on WhatsApp, you'll be talking about this person. It doesn't mean that they're able to track the original person, but just because you are talking about that person and these people that are able to access it are able to access it. They can digest the information there and use it to know where the person is. You know, even a cleaner that sees, let's say, sees an important official and say, I was just talking to this man here. I just let him into this office. They will know who that person is because you are busy talking on WhatsApp. And imagine how many secrets, family secrets, Nigerians have put down on that WhatsApp. So you can see how easily the way we behave and the things we consume may be our undoing. And he is right. He is very much right. And I think people like Dangote, no matter what he represents, you know, Nigerians don't like very rich people because if you are very, very rich, they feel like you are one of the people stealing all their money from them. But Dangote is not the kind of rich person that is very destructive. I don't like his friends. I think he seems to be very, very close to Bill Gates. That seems to, and Bill Gates is hell bent on introducing GMO crops in Nigeria, and I don't think that should be accepted. Nigeria is such an important area; they shouldn't be bringing GMO into that area at all. However, from we also have to keep in mind, like I said earlier on, that Dangote, what his company represents, is a very, very powerful tool. Can you imagine if Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz? Dangote would have been like a god. Like the whole African country will be coming to Nigeria to come and beg for petrol. Okay, not beg for petrol, but buy petrol. Not beg for petrol. They might as well beg, depending on the ones that has offended us. Imagine when that was when South Africa was busy misbehaving. That would have been tough. So these are, and I think Nigeria should create more people like Dangote. We need at least 20 of them. 20 at least. Big, and Dangote is not even that rich. They need to be big and be able to expand to all through Africa and be able to trade and increase their capital, because the more capital and kind of large the companies get, the more they can use it to do more for Nigeria. Because if you have money, they are paying taxes to the Nigerian economy, they're employing Nigerians, and they are transferring the wealth all over the country. You can now start seeing the influence, not to mention the soft power that you gain, because most of those nations rely on Nigeria to purchase those type of the kind of goods that Nigerian billionaires are producing. The influence you have, like I said, Dangote would have been very influential if Iran had decided to escalate the situation beyond what they did. That said, let me check. Palantir. I've heard of Palantir is accessing into their network. Exactly. That Palantir, whom are they? I've heard of them quite a bit. I think it's some kind of organization. I'm not sure. Is it Israeli organization? If you can, okay, let me see. Palantir is an Israeli spying arm, one of them. Yeah. They know how to Israeli. Say whatever I like about Israel. I really wish we were at least to, not the genocidal part that is going on now, but the part that is very, very aware of their environment. I wish we were just even half like them, so that we can be taking care of some of all these loopholes that we have. We have too many loopholes in our system, and our people are some of the worst ones, even making it worse. We keep taking everything and taking it overseas. Everything we have, we take it overseas. If you go to London, you'll be surprised how much wealth Nigerians have. The slightest thing they want to do, they will put it in Chelsea, Kensington. You know, Chelsea and Kensington in the UK, they are one of the most, they are, in short, they are about the most expensive area in the UK. Chelsea, Kensington. And that's where many of our rich people go and put money, including the Nigerian government. They don't hesitate. They have this one, Chelsea. They have one, Kensington. Because they have money that that the country is producing. We are living as if we are rich as other people. We are not as rich as other people. When the country's economy is suffering like crazy. You know, our national budget the last year was really $8 billion that they read out. I'm sure they borrowed a lot more to make up for the rest. But it's a pitiful state that we are in. So 20 Dangotes in various sectors. Exactly. That's what I was thinking about, because there's mining, fisheries, pharmaceutical. There's so many. As a matter of fact, when you look at Nigeria, sometimes you begin to wonder, why are there no jobs? It's important. There is so much to be done. There is so much to be done. The government's whole focus should be just bringing the right people in and say, you know what, I will support you. Whatever you need, just go and do. We'll support you with what you are doing. And if you try any funny business, like you want to, you have any ideas about stealing the Nigerian money, you pass a law that makes it very, very heavy penalties on them if they try that nonsense. And I really think that Nigeria will see a lot of progress. And I think Dangote is correct. When I keep saying this stuff that, you know, I say it, I don't know if people do say it. I think the way I remember Nigeria Watch. I don't often mention him, but it's good I mention him here today because it's quite right to be saying that. He always says we want to see a better Nigeria in our lifetimes. He always qualifies it with that. I have to give that one to him. He always says in our lifetime. This idea that Nigeria cannot be good is a fallacy. It's just for us to get our act together. This president that came in, he made a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't say a lot. He made two major one. The security posture that he said he was going to change, he didn't do it. And the floating of the currency, the way he did it, are the biggest mistakes he made. The way he did the subsidies was bad. But you can say that's a little bit tacky, but that's not the reason why the Nigerian economy toppled over. It's the floating of the currency, the way he handled that one. That's the one that really did the damage. And then he didn't plug the insecurity gap that he was supposed to have. He claimed and he promised that he was going to do. He was the one that promised, and he said if he doesn't do these things, they should not vote him again, and they should not feel sorry for him. And yet he has still not done it. So that is on him. So it's a bit of a shame, really, to see this sort of situation unfold in Nigeria, because the Nigerian GDP should be heading towards $700 billion right now, from somewhere around $450 billion. Nigeria's currency was somewhere close to $450 billion, even without Dangote refinery functioning. Now, Dangote refinery is functioning fully. Instead of the economy to be growing, we are busy trying to get out of the $200 billion GDP that this government inflicted on the country because they went and floated the currency, when you could have managed depreciation while awaiting Dangote to offset the demand for the dollar that often occurs, that was happening in Nigeria. Because if Dangote refinery comes on stream, we stop importing petrol. Guess what? All that money that we used to import petrol is no longer needed. We don't need all that money anymore. So to fix the continent, it should be relatively easy. You know, plug your security gap, do value-added manufacturing, which Nigeria, to an extent, Dangote is at the forefront of doing it. And for what he's saying about fertilizer now, is another great move that he has made again. So why is it only him? You know, why are the others so slow too? I may be shocked how slow they are in emerging. Nigeria should be creating a lot more of them. To be fair, I'm not even sure the current president is championing anyone. At least during the time of Buhari, we knew he was championing Dangote. Who is this president championing so far to emerge as a great strategic titan that can be able to own one sector, and the entire Africa will be relying on it to buy those things? You know, that is what Dangote has been able to pull off. Maybe some other person can master the gas sector, you know. Maybe some other person can master the gas sector, some other person take over the gold or other minerals. There's no reason why you can't do these things. The Nigerian economy is not, in short, the African continent is not that hard to fix. It's because for some reason our leaders have this mindset that they won't fix it. And Dangote, I will hold him accountable for that. It's one thing for him to come and reveal it. It's another thing to say why are they not solving it? Those who are his friends, why are they not dealing with it? You see how that can be a form of gaslighting. You come out and tell us, okay, this thing says this, but those guys are your friend. Why are you not stopping them from doing? Why are you not telling them, okay, maybe we should stop this behavior? Maybe we should do better for our people. For him to come out and say that Africa can be turned into heaven in 5 years, that should tell you something. Because I've always thought that the Chinese, it took them about 30 years to emerge or so. after they built their nuclear technology. In other words, after they got security assurances. Africa could emerge even faster than that. But we have not taken care of the fundamentals. What Dangote is saying right now, if you take it without fixing security, forget it. You're going to lose it again. And that is a mistake that we don't want to make at all. So, welcome, Odi. I appreciate you for joining me this evening, because I just saw this headline. I thought, you know what, I need to talk about it, document it, so that people understand, hear about this, because that is a very important statement for him to be able to reveal. This is a billionaire that has built one of the, I think, the largest refinery in Africa, and he does a lot of other manufacturing, from cement to sugar and all the rest. Now he's talking about dominating the fertilizer market too. Coming out to say they can turn Africa into heaven in 5 years. What do you make of that, Odi?
Well, thanks. Looks like I have a lot of time. I'm happy you came back today. So, and I like the topic. It's Afrocentric. It's like what I like to talk about. Dangote is actually right. What Africa has lacked is leadership. And you talk about numbers all the time. Where we have the numbers in Nigeria, that's where it becomes important. I heard you guys talking about collective intelligence and all that stuff. I think Dangote has been on the right track, and to correct, he has one of the largest refineries in the world. It's not just in Africa. Refineries that processes about 650,000 barrels, I think, barrels per day. You can't beat that. I don't think you have a lot of that in the United States, I'm not sure we even have that in the United States. So he's very, very big. That's why you see when Trump went to Qatar, he was there. They know him. He's a major player. The problem we have is leadership. And we are part of the problem. You were asking who is Tinubu propping up. And this is great. Tinubu is propping up the Chaguris, right? We're just back to the Abacha days. Every leader has the people that he has to work with, business leaders. Also, he's, propping up himself, and this is where selfishness comes up, right? You have the Oando guys, right, who are his relatives. So when a leader is about himself, you're not going to get any much progress in the country. So what we have is failure of leadership. People are jumping around and celebrating the tax bill that was watered down so much that it's useless. There's no, and let me just really zero in on your discussion about the importance of what Dangote said. Is going to be driven by people like you and me. We did talk about South Africa in the past, when it was time for them to move to the next level, when the Oyibos gave them, leadership. They didn't have people who were educated enough. We do have folks who are ready to come back to Nigeria and man anything. Is it nuclear power? Whatever power you want, we got people, Nigerians will come back and run anything. They'll even fly B-2 bombers if you need them, if you give them in Nigeria. So we have folks, they're abroad. And many people want to come back, but you need to have the right leader that is thinking. They can't even do diaspora voting because they are scared the diaspora people will kick them out. So many times we get lost in this daily news cycle. APC party chairman is out, and then we'll talk about it tomorrow. They're giving us crumbs.
Yeah, they talk more about that than things that are even more important. They were like, oh, Tinubu, this one is defecting to this one. Fubara
Yeah.
is doing this. Those are the kind of things they talk about even more in Nigerian media these days. It's a bit of a pitiful state. But what do you make of him talking about corruption too? Because I should have included that, because for him to say corruption is not the problem, that is very interesting for somebody at that height to come out openly to admit to that. That
So
is the
you know,
fact that we take the money overseas.
because and everything is about perspective also, right? Corruption. Which I did disagree with Paul this morning when he talked about. He said the American politicians are the most corrupt in the world. He said that. Yeah, is there a lot of corruption going on here? Yes, but what type of corruption? How is the corruption played out? So there's going to be greed. You played the video about how the income gap got worse in the 80s. That's a form of corruption.
Yeah.
That someone like Mike Zuckerberg doesn't pay taxes, right? The owner of Amazon doesn't pay taxes, but the teachers pay taxes. It's a form of corruption.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference. So there's going to be there's always going to be, once you have, you know, some type of capitalism in it, even even with socialism, there's still corruption. Even in China, President Xi is not a poor man. He
Hmm.
should not be rich, right? But he has all the wealth, and he has all the power. What's the name of that guy that was their Amazon guy that disappeared? He was talking too much, and they made him disappear.
Yeah. I think was it not Alibaba one?
Alibaba, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of him. I've not heard from him for a long time actually. He's
Oh,
gone
they just
quiet.
disappeared him, and that's why
Yeah.
when people are, talking about, you go and read up Chinese news, like, do you want to live in a country whereby Dangote will just disappear and nobody talks about Dangote again? Even
Mhm.
as we know he's not, Dangote is not the nicest man around, but we're
Mm.
happy. Jack Ma, yeah, thank you very much. Look, there is no way, you can't, Dangote has his hands dirty. There's no way around that. His whole wealth is built on our money. But he's doing something that is benefiting all of us.
I think that's the point he was making. That maybe he was implying that maybe he stole, but he's putting it in Nigeria. But the others they think and they put it overseas. Maybe that's the point he's trying to make.
Yeah,
And
that's the point. Because it's not corruption, like taking money from the cookie jar, you
mm,
know. But you see, and this is the idea. When we are worried about let's say the 60s, and we're reminiscing about how good those days were. Well, those days were not very, very good for everybody. The
mm,
60s and the 50s that guy described in the video, because there was a lot of segregation and, folks were suffering. Now we have a situation whereby you and me can land in New York, and in 10 years we'll be worth $10 million.
oh, okay, hold on. But sorry. From what he said in that video, even for black people, if you ask black Americans, they will tell you that they were better off financially, family structure then than now.
Not in the 60s that guy was talking about.
No, they
In
will
the
say
20,
they will tell you that they were better off. No, in the 60s, not 20s. Yes, black Americans were not better off, but in the 60s and 70s, they will tell you that they were better off because one, their family homes are not being broken. They were more still together. They didn't have the drug epidemic problem. The men were still at home. And I remember Michelle Obama saying that her dad went to work for a rail station, and he that one salary is how the money he used to train all of them. That is almost impossible to do now. So that's the point I'm making, that even black people will tell you the same thing, that during that period they were doing better.
so the family structure was together, for sure. So we, we have to separate a deliberate policy by the government to destroy the African American family. That was a deliberate policy that was started way back, about redistricting. This started actually, I think it was after the Second World War or the First World War.
Second World
When
War.
they did the redlining,
Yeah.
And they gave loans to white people and made them. It's very well detailed. That guy even made a video on it. He's made several videos on it. He's actually obsessed with that. We know that part. What I'm saying is, what we found ourselves is a situation whereby, Elon Musk has all the power, but he's very innovative also, right? So there's a trade-off also. Dangote, if you look, I voted for us having 6 Dangotes. I don't like the refinery in Lagos. I think we should have had 6 refineries in the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. I thought Buhari, that would have been a master stroke. Empower 6 folks, pick them out, whoever you like, APC folks, empower them, sound guys. Let them get those same type of refinery in the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria. And then, because problem with Dangote, there could be easy foreign sabotage on that, refinery. If one country, one Western country that doesn't like Dangote for any reason, they will just put, you see what Israel did to Iranian refinery, or they could even put, it could just be virus, like computer virus. They'll shut down the plant. Espionage. Just, for some reason, they could just, have one agent go in there, putting something in one boiler, and it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's a national security risk. Because if you look at, if not the incompetence of this government, Dangote has already solved all their problems. We're no longer importing petrol. Can you imagine? This has been our Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a government? Tinubu has been given the best gift by Buhari, empowering Dangote to get that refinery down and ready. Dangote has cement, he has refinery. What else do you need to build a country? You need just metal, aluminium or iron somewhere. We're already making some guns and all that in the country. We can do a lot more. But guess what? The man is focused only on election and re-election. That is blind. He's not looking at anything important. We have so much money. We should have so much money. Of course, we are poor. You mentioned our, the budget, right? It's a joke, right? I'm sure our budget is probably smaller than New York City budget. The budget of the whole Nigeria is probably smaller than the budget of. So, and this is myopia from, our leaders. They are all chasing, Jagaban of Africa. Oh, he's the greatest politician. He's getting one party state. Everybody is defecting. And that's where the leadership vacuum, ensues. Look at, I don't like the South African president, Ramaphosa. I think is, he has, but do you see, even with his BRICS, his defense of Palestine and all that, he still went to Trump. Trump has been hitting the man hard through Elon Musk and everybody, gave him sanctions. One of the also USAID hit them the most because they have a lot of HIV and all that stuff there. Now, what did he do? He went to the White House. He found his guys and they found him a way. He came there and said, okay, let's settle this thing. And, Trump, he just praised Trump. Everybody is the emperor. You praise him a little bit and things start open. Nobody's talking about South Africa anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody has invited him to the White House. He's not been invited to Rome. He has not. He probably will never be invited. He's chasing shadow. Which country did he go to? A country of 200,000 people.
I
And,
think that is the thing about in a
and they were
way
doing gun salute for him.
I
He
like
said
about
it's a
Trump.
parade. A
Trump,
parade.
let me say this quick. That's one thing in a way I like about Trump. He's not too well. He could be, but he doesn't appear to be welded ideologically to doing deals with anyone. He would do as long as you're not threatening America. He would do deal with anybody. As long as you give him money, if Nigerian government tell him now, you know what, we're going to strike deal with you. Yeah, we're going to need some technology from you or not. He will do it as long as you give him the right price. He will take it. They will give it to you. And that is where I like Trump. It's not like the Democrats that are like devilish. You ask them for the slightest thing. Even when Boko Haram was attacking us like crazy, they wouldn't even give us a simple aircraft. That kind of behavior is what I don't like. And no matter how racist Trump appears, but at least he still likes to do deal. Look at all the deals he's done with Arab countries already, and he's willing to do deal with Iran. If Iran comes now, if Iran gives him a little bit, he's going to give them all their billions back, because probably he's going to get a kickback. As long as he give him his own kickback, he's going to release all the money. He likes to do deals. That's what he's after. He's not after all this nonsense. Say whatever I like about him. On that front, I am on his side on that one. But it's good that we address this video, because it's not every day here Nigerian billionaires come out and tell you that is the fact that corruption is not the problem, and that they can transform the continent in 5 years. That is a remarkable thing for somebody to say. 5 years. That is, even for me, I'll be like, but he's the one that has spent 20 billion building a refinery. So you can't exactly start arguing with him. 5
No,
years
but
is a big thing.
no, but sorry to interrupt you, but he's correct. All you need to fix Nigeria, all these people chasing it, is one term. Everything OBJ did for Nigeria was within one term. All the things, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, all those, everybody flying around doing deals all over the world, it was within one term. He changed Nigeria. Professors were suffering. Everybody was suffering when the guy came in Nigeria. And when Obasanjo came, 1999, he changed the landscape. But after then, he started chasing third term. In his second term, when he should have been doing more work, he was chasing, third term, and he got derailed. And look, this, if you look at and this Trump and Iran stuff, right? And this is why many times, like when people are calling, I did not vote for Trump, but I'm not. I don't. I went there, took my son, we voted against him, because of all the things I've said. I've given my reason here, but everything he's doing now, at least most of everything he's doing now, I have no problem with it. I actually do like them,
Yes.
because me and both of us went back and forth about stocks, and the stocks are at all-time high. Nobody is talking about it. Anybody
Yeah.
the stocks in America are at an all-time high. Unbelievable stuff. Everybody is killing it. If you have any stocks, bonds, anything, despite all the America is going to collapse, and somehow the Chinese are buying more bonds. The Japanese are buying more bonds.
No. Where did you get your Chinese? But I thought I heard that Chinese is offloading.
Go and check now. This is you need to understand something. And this, people talk about all these, this empire is collapsed, this one, that one. There is something that these countries don't have. And I'm happy we have this session so I can address it. Everybody, most Black people were rooting for Russia in the Cold War, right? To succeed. The Russian cells in America then, in the Soviet era, were, really in Black folks who were coordinating with them, with the KGB in the United States at that time, because of segregation. But the problem is Russia just could not get their act together. It's about, here's where the United States have overpowered all these people who are around them. It's about law and order, justice. Let me say justice. The justice system or judiciary that America has, you can't get it in all these other countries.
Why do you think so?
Oh, in okay. Let's say you go to Moscow and you commit a crime, or in New York. Where do you think you will get fair justice between Moscow and New York? Just be honest about it. Oh, sorry, Beijing, Moscow, and New York. Where do you think you'll be more confident to say maybe someone I'll get fair trial?
You are more likely to get it in America, but not for the reason you are saying. If you go to Austria now and do the same, you are not likely to. They are going to treat you almost similar to Germany, to China, or this thing. Yeah,
No,
but
I
America
just
is
say
interracial by
no.
default.
You're
So
talking. Thank you. That's exactly the point. You see,
why?
you
What is it?
answered.
What is the point?
The point is that these guys are accepting everybody, even if they are still hierarchy. These guys are open. They have opened up their society.
But
That
they
in a
didn't
way,
open it up. They use those people as walking fodder for them,
well,
and
look,
and
whether
we know that's what is going on, because those people, like the black people now, their home countries are not doing well at all. So if you, the people, the kind of country you want to compare it with is like a country like it's in Europe that is white, because China is almost homogeneously Chinese. The
they are
Japanese is
not
the same
actually,
thing.
they're not. They're but go ahead. But the Chinese
Yeah,
will
yeah.
tell you they are not homogeneous.
And it is not unheard of that your laws do favor you too. It's when you like do something against a Chinese person, they would likely take the Chinese person's side. Just like in America, they are likely to take the white person's side. It just comes by default. Black people have lived through it, where they will see somebody get shot like blood point blank, and the justice system will take the side of the white this person. So it's not new to in America. The point is, I think we sometimes do this thing where we look at the West and look at the East and think it's either or. It's not
No,
either
no,
or.
no.
The
Sorry,
West
I
can be
don't
nice
want to
to
cut
us.
you short, but let me just jump
Yeah,
in a
go ahead.
little bit. My argument is simple. I said we are talking about the people chasing. There's a hegemony, right? There are
Yeah.
people who chasing to overthrow the others.
Mm-hmm.
Austria is not chasing to be the world empire.
Mm-hmm.
They're not. Sweden, they're just doing their own little thing there. They are happy in they are being, they're under the control of the United States and NATO and, Germany and all these guys. But they
Mm-hmm.
are not, you know, China is actively trying to become the world leader. Russia or Soviet Union tried for a long time, and they're still trying to build their coalition and be strong. Japan tried for a long time. These are the folks trying to usurp the United States to become the world leader. We talk about this every day. And that's why I said, who would you, why is it going to be difficult for China to take over as the world leaders? Because, or why would even China be investing in the United States? Why would they do that?
Because the
Because of
United States is
just
investing in China too.
not in that way.
Um,
Why is
Let
the
me find out
dollar
where the
surviving? Why
okay.
is the dollar surviving the way it's surviving? The power of the United States is in the dollar. We know that. Why is everybody Trump says, if you don't use the dollar, we're going to come get you? Is it not insulting to folks? But people continue to use the dollar
Yeah,
because dollar is just a paper that is backed by the good faith of the American people. Simple.
it's backed by the American power now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's also backed by, we just said something here. Let me tell you something. If I go to Oshobo, me and you, let's say we go to Kanu. Look, let me even use me and you, let's go to Kanu and commit one crime, same crime, New York. Kanu, you can put Beijing, or you can put Moscow. Where do you think you will get? Where's the place you don't want to even be tried? It's a Kanu.
Wow.
So this is our pro. This is, and when we talk about, you see, and that's one thing that has to be harmonized: law and order. And you are a law and order guy. You're a justice guy. There has to be justice. This is where Rome. This is what Rome did. What Rome did. If you know, I don't try to talk about Bible here, but just as a historical book, we know Paul was a Jewish guy who was a Roman citizen. When they accused him of one irregular behavior, he said, "Well, I'm a Roman citizen. I want to be tried before Caesar." And this is that was the power of Rome. That's what America is doing. You know, they copied everything about Rome.
Yes.
And this is the power of the United States. For people to say, I am American, I will die for this flag. That's what people did for Rome. Who is doing it for Russia? Russia has a very good opportunity with these guys in Mali, Burkina Faso. Let's see if they don't miss, and Niger, right? Here is AES countries. Let's see what they do there. If they send a bunch of guys, take gold and uranium and run away, and you see, Trump has allowed them to move things around. They've moved their base from Syria. They're moving their base from Syria to Libya. They've just let them. It's when Israel was pounding Iran, Russia didn't do anything. They made a deal with Trump. They just allowed them move their base closer to Libya so they can support their guys. Because this is their own peace. This is still Berlin Conference all over again. But the question is, what is Russia going to do with the people they have been left to cater for? They need to have some type of good life. You need to allow some of those people from those countries to move to Moscow, educate them on weaponry or whatever technology you have, develop them, and people will want to join you.
Yeah, see, I understand what you are saying. It's basically one of my biggest criticism of China, Russia's approach to things. They are it's almost as if they are doing it half-heartedly. And that is a bad mistake to make. If you want the world to be stable, you need to have a multipolar world. Because if you have only America running roughshod, you are more likely to have even more conflicts and bitter ones for that matter. Because everything is going to be under America, and they want to ride roughshod against whoever they like, and nobody will be able to question them. That's why they say power corrupts absolutely, and absolute power, corrupts absolutely. Which it would be what will happen if America is not challenged by China. You have to have a counterbalancing this force so that people have options. Can you imagine the kind of stuff they are doing to this in Iran or any country that's against Israel? No matter how Israel offends people, if you tell them, oh, this behavior is not good or we don't like it, America will be like, I can't be asked because my politicians, their brain is lost when it comes to Israel. So when you have that kind of situation and you don't have any other recourse, what do you think is going to happen? People just start fighting. But if you have China, people will like, okay, if that's how you are, fine. I'm going to just go with these people because it looks like you are crazy. You're out of your mind. And there has to be options. That said, I'm not necessarily welded to whether it's America or China, because if you look at both of them, America trades with China more than Nigeria does. I think from what I can see here, apart from Canada and Mexico, America's export goes mostly to China.
Of course.
So they trade with each other more than we do. So the trick is and America does business with Japan that they nuke twice, and Japan is developing just fine. So it's not that when America is associated with you, it means a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. The way it's a bad thing is a bad thing for us. That is the problem, because when you look at the continent now, you don't see it as a good thing, and we have to learn from that.
But this is what? Yeah, you're correct. We refuse to learn from that. Just look at what's the biggest economy in Europe? Germany.
Germany now, yeah.
by far. In Asia, it was
China.
for a long time Japan.
Yeah.
It was for a long time. China just took over. For so many years, guess the biggest economy? It was US and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Who built Japan?
America.
America. Who defeated Japan in a war?
America.
America. Who defeated Germany in a war? Well, partly America and Russia. Well, Russia even mainly more than US. But
Yeah.
guess what? And this is one of the things that happened after the Second World War. After Hitler went down, people were rushing from eastern part of of Berlin to run to surrender to the Americans.
Mm.
People were running away. The soldiers were running to go and surrender to the Americans.
Mm.
And this is how America got to the moon, right? Technology, all the research that these guys did on human beings, they are scientists, is what is helping in modern medicine till today. America took so many of the. That's why the pharmaceutical industries that are blossoming, many of them came from experiments that those guys did that were unethical.
Mm.
Let me tell you. So America destroys a country, and what did they do? They built it back. They have bases in Germany and Japan.
They
They're not
didn't
going to
build
let
it
you
back
go
out of
crazy.
they didn't build it back out of the goodness of their heart though. They did it because it's important to them for strategic reasons. If they
No,
didn't build Germany back, Europe will remain unstable and they will have to go deal with a future problem. If they didn't
they
build
left.
Japan up, there's nobody to oppose China. That's why they built them up. It's not because of moral reason.
No. But of course, nobody does anything for free. If you give somebody something, you expect something in return, right? America is not. They're not Father Christmas. But you look at what happened here. They learned from the failure of the First World War. We've not had a third world. Many people predicted by now we should have had a third world war. We haven't because of what the lessons learned from the First World War. After the First World War, the League of Nations was formed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it couldn't stick.
Mm.
Now, what they did, is they started what do you call it? They had the Treaty of Versailles. The
That was
Treaty of
after the
Versailles,
First World War, wasn't it?
after the First World War, they had the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was punitive. He
Mm-hmm.
said, Germany, you lost the war. You're going to pay us penalty.
Mm-hmm.
So Germany was paying penalty until, when you had the Great Depression, everything went to hell. After you
Mm-hmm.
had the Great Depression, and then you had the Spanish flu, I think about this around, everything started going to hell. Wall Street collapsed. Germany couldn't meet up. People in Germany were suffering. The Allied forces had black people walking their streets, people, soldiers from Senegal taking their women, having mulattoes.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Oyibo started rebelling.
Mm.
That's what happened. Now, what they learned from the Second World War is no, these are our brothers. We're going to build them up, just give them some breaks. You saw the German premier, he came to White House. He says, Oga. You see, he brought Trump's great grandfather's birth certificate. Say, you're one of us, so, be nice to us. He will talk harshly, but when he comes to White House, he come and see the emperor. I'm not a Trump crazy guy, but I'm just trying to say, I think we have to see the word for what
But
it
I
is.
think some of the language you are using indicates that you are thinking that you are saying they say they should help their brothers. No, that's not what they are doing. They are doing it because they knew. Because remember, the First World War where that they penalized Germany, there was no Soviet Union that was opposing them at that time. At least not as a threat like with the nuclear power. But when the Soviet Union emerged, they knew they needed people, they needed nations. and especially when you had the Berlin, Berlin, the Germany
Berlin
was
Wall.
split into,
Mm.
yeah, the Germany was split into two. So they needed the West to be strong enough to resist. Otherwise, they will fall into the sphere of influence of the this thing. This is the importance of having a competition. They will fall into the sphere of influence of this in the Soviet Union. And the same thing again, they had to contain communist China. So this is why they supported South Korea, supported this in Japan, and supported Taiwan. All this are strategic moves. And if they didn't do it, those countries, China would be the leader in Asia right now. They had to do them. Now, just like they are using India to contain this, it's just a strategy that they are using. This is why they don't see us as important, because we are not part of that geopolitical game that they are playing. And hence, they don't have any need to do anything for us. And we have to find a way to make ourselves relevant enough for them to pay attention and say, okay, no matter what happens, we need to cooperate with this. If the AES now, nations, Russia goes and gives them an advanced weapon, an advanced technology,
Mm.
guess what's going to happen? America will bring it to us too. Why do you think they will choose that time to bring it to us? They will bring it to us because they know now that if they don't do that, that AES country will gain more influence in the subcontinent and maybe even give Russia even more foothold in more countries. You see what I mean? So that is how they think. It's not because they care about you, they care about their power to be preserved. That tells you something. When they totally dominate, they will revert back to type, because their true type is what you see in Africa right now. They don't have any strategic interest in helping Africa right now, and they are not. they,
No,
don't,
but
they don't have it, and they are not helping.
your analysis is spot on. Is correct. And that's why I said the onus is now on Russia to do something for the AIS countries. Let him do something. Like the problem is so this is the opportunity. This essentially is their playground. They've outsmarted. It's as if, it's like what happened after the Second World War, after the First World War. All the colonies that uh, Germany had were taken over and split between the British guys and the French. Cameroon, case in point, think Togo also, and the Namibia and all those countries. They were split and given to the British and the French. This is what's up. Essentially, the Russians have kicked out the French from the Sahara. Now the question is the life of the average guy in Niger going to be better in 5 years? If it's not better, then Russia has failed again, because Russia has a great opportunity. I am in agreement with you that there has to be some multipolarity. I'm not against it. I'm saying that when you have look, the Chinese look, essentially, these guys forgot about Africa. Chinese got a foothold in Africa. What did they do? They build one whatever, they'll build one railway for you. They will say, okay, we'll be charging you this, whatever, we'll monopolize one thing there. They'll bring some of their citizens. But they are not really going all in. They have to come all in. If you're going to, let's say China takes over, let's say Kenya, or like comes in to help Kenya, modernizes Kenya, everybody will be looking to China. But China doesn't do that. China comes, they just come to exploit also, even worse than the Europeans.
Come on, yeah, I think you are exaggerating now. Come on.
Maybe I'm exaggerating.
Where you are exaggerating is that I can categorically say almost 70% of the projects that were built in Africa in the last 2 decades were done by the Chinese. They are building stuff just like Dangote is building in Nigeria compared to the West. Why is the West that we have been in constant partnership with for decades? Why are they not the ones building? All they do is come and take.
Let's bring it a little bit home. The Chinese are in Zamfara. They have been in Zamfara. What have they been doing there? What have they done for Zamfara?
Oh no, I'm not telling you that they are not exploiting us. Oh. They are exploiting us. 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 They are exploiting us, of
What
course.
infrastructure have they built in Zamfara? Leave all the other parts of what have they done for us in Zamfara?
No, no, they are, nothing they do for us is they are not doing it for us. It's our government that this thing kind of gave them the projects to do. The point is that all these projects, the West will refuse to do it for us, or they'll find an excuse to sabotage it or one or other reason. But in terms of giving us stuff for free, they hardly do that too. They don't give you any stuff for
No,
free.
I
Chinese.
don't disagree with you. Both of us are completely aligned. What I'm saying is, for all the good things that China has been doing, they have been in Zamfara for a very long time. What have they done for Nigeria? Show me one in Zamfara.
And this is one of the areas I think the Chinese they are making a big mistake. I don't know what is wrong with them. The Chinese is going to fail, and the West is going to win this struggle if they carry on with the way they are going, because they don't seem to realize their position. It's like a big elephant that doesn't realize how big it is. China is massive, and they don't seem to want to take responsibility and say, you know what, in this world we are competing with the West, and the people that I'm working with, I will set great example for them everywhere I am. From DRC, I will make sure they progress. Because if they progress, we are not a threat to China. We are very far from China. But
Yeah, we're not.
what you would do is you would take the support of those countries that used to back the West away from the West,
But they have
and they
to
will
start
be looking
doing
at
it.
China favor. But China is not doing enough, and that is my problem with China, and including Russia too. How many countries has
Thank
Russia
you.
supported that has done very well? How many countries that Russia? No, name one country you can tell me in the world now that Russia supported that go on to prosper very well. Okay, maybe Iran to an extent prospered. This thing, North Korea, you can argue that they survived compared to if Russia wasn't backing them too. So, but even them, you cannot
Yeah,
consider them a
North
great
Korea
success.
is a China story. It's not even Russia. It's a Chinese story.
Exactly.
It's a Chinese
But it
story.
helps that Russia didn't lock them out too, because they have to get oil from somewhere.
My brother, even this Iran and all the good things there, Iran has had a long history with with Russia, with
Mm.
the British folks when they were in India,
Yeah.
and and the United States most recently, at least prior to 1979. Iran is a great empire, has been. And
Yeah.
these are not small folks. They were very advanced even before this Islamic revolution. Iran was
Yes.
popular. Iran was like, even the Shah openly boasted that in 10 years they will be ahead of most of the European countries. In 10 years. There's a video of him. He openly
Mm.
boasted. Yes, he said 10 years. That in 10 years they will be ahead of most European countries.
You know what I call that? They look like our cousins. They look like our cousins that like to brag before they get anything done. That's mumu talk. You see, this is why I like the Chinese. They keep quiet when they are doing something. They don't talk too much. Sometimes I feel like they don't talk, they don't talk too much. It's a
Yeah, but they
problem.
have to start talking now. If they, you see,
Now,
if
yeah, now is the time for them to really start playing
yeah,
the international politics. They are not
you
doing it
can't say
enough.
you want to go and vie for election because this is everybody is trying to show off their goods. You have
Yeah.
to show us. America, look, no, of all the things that people say, America, all of us come wherever the UK, US, we come in and we're able to show our people what we came back with, the bread we bought. Let's bring it home to Nigeria because there's something that I've been trying to talk about. But look, they had the Second World War. They signed the Treaty of Versailles, the First World War, Treaty of Versailles. It didn't work out. They went to another war, and then this helped, whether it's because of the Cold War, whatever, but they built up Germany, built up Japan, and their allies, and they are supporting each other. Nigeria, we had a civil war. We had a war. Since the war, what, we have the tripod. The other, minorities actually maybe the fourth pole. But what Nigeria has done is to say, oh, the other guys that we defeated, we will never get you people involved. Oh, all those weapons that you guys built, we don't want to talk about it. Oh, this war, we don't want to talk about this history. Let's remove history from the. and we're trying to blame someone. You don't want to bring people up. Look, go and look at after the war. How much did they give everybody? It was 20 pounds or something. Whatever you had. That's not how to. If you look at their videos there was a commission set up to rebuild Biafra.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do anything. And before there was a privatization of a nationalization policy or privatization policy. I want to remember. I'll Google it and find out that they carried that Gowon did just after the war, when they said just hold on a little bit so that these our brothers can be able to buy in. That's why you are having one Olu saying that he's the owner of one national project, this one, that one, as if it was his birthright. One Dan Tata, one this one. They sold off Nigerian assets to themselves, excluding their brothers from the East that lost the war. Nobody refused to integrate the people because you cannot stand on your own. It's impossible. Up to today, people say, oh, Obi can never be president. An Igbo man can never be president. Okay, the country will never work. How can the country work? And the black man is waiting for the country to work. We can see, we will discuss this thing till we are blue in the face. If you don't bring everybody together, and if you don't get the country to move in sync with each other, it will not go work.
I think on that front, I think by and large Nigeria is already together. I think just like when people say corruption is not the problem, it's because what we are seeing now is counterintuitive. We might like to think that we are separated. We are not as separated as we like to think, because there are nations that are out there that have greater reason to feel separated. If you look at Nigeria, every day, I'm collecting videos from different cultures in Nigeria and playing it. What I begin to find in Nigeria is that we are quite similar in so many ways than we like to believe. You will see people dance. If you search for like northern dance, cultural dance, you'll be surprised how similar. If you remove the Islamic part out of it, you'll be surprised how similar it is with people that are in the south. You will see that you will literally see moves that is common with the people in the south, and most of the instruments they use are basically the same. It's only the string instrument that seems different from that of the south. So it's very, very interesting if you look at Nigeria, how relatively similar we are. We might appear different. No wonder people can't see the difference because in our eyes we can see the difference, but people that are outside can't see the difference as much. That said, nations have problems. If you sit down, I can tell you right now, Odi, you walk into a room and you have a meeting about Nigerians talking about stuff. The moment you come to an agreement on any new thing, you will see another faction that will come out like, hey, this has destroyed us, so you have destroyed us. That is how countries work. There's always people that feel marginalized.
But this is not unique to us. That one is a different thing. In America, there are two tribes. There are Democrats, there are Republicans. Everything that Trump does, the Democrats say is bad. Everything that the Democrats do, the Republicans say is bad. That's that's human nature. People in Rome, there was same problem. People who wanted dictatorship, people who wanted, the Senate, wanted this. This is humanity. What we are saying, which I think you just jumped over, is a simple fact. Let me tell you something. I live in the United States. I believe that I have more justice here than in Lagos. I have more justice. Like I'll tell you, when I finished school, trying to get a job, in my field, I couldn't. People who were way less qualified were being put in positions which they are ruining now. What I'm saying is that America, that people are even pummeling, are giving us actually equal opportunity more than our own people, because they are feeling it with tribesmen. And this is what you're saying, oh, we dance alike. Who cares what we dance alike? We eat alike. Of course we do. We know that we're not very different people. We know that. You know, when you go and look at Bini, many Bini words and Igbo words, many of them are similar. Go and look at Yoruba ones, and they are similar with Igbo ones. We have many of them, but that's not the problem. The problem is, I just mentioned one direct thing. They had Obunigwe. They had the things that were manufactured in Biafra. Nobody wanted to use it. Nobody wanted to bring in the scientists that made all those things in Osaka or in all the places and say, okay, people were making, Biafra was refining petrol and they were driving cars and doing so many things. Nobody wanted to talk about how to use that. People were making jet fuel and flying from Biafra.
We have innocent now, innocent, and there are elements. Was it not an Igbo name that they gave to this armored vehicle that Nigeria built the other day? I think it was
you're pandering now, because this, when you say
you are saying, I'm trying to respond directly to the point you made, that whether Igbo people they have channeled their in any way, Nigeria has supported them in any way. I'm telling you, the only armored vehicle that Nigeria built was built by an Igbo man with Daikon, or I don't know how it's pronounced. And Innocent is practically the only car manufacturing company we have in Nigeria right now that you can call.
You're making, even that was my point. This is what I said is, and I made this point on this show. I said, when Tinubu was elected, we didn't support him, but he's the president. What we said, he should succeed. If he needed to succeed, he needed Dangote, he needed Innocent. That's what he needed. What I did say at the point is, go and meet Innocent. Ask him what he needs. The way Innocent, do you think in your mind, do you think Innocent is getting 1/10 of what the supports that Dangote is getting?
Yeah, but Innocent and Dangote, they are not in the same category. Even if I support that Innocent should get similar support, but they are not in the same category. Dangote is dealing with oil that Nigeria actually has. That Innocent one requires a lot of other things that Nigeria may not have the ecosystem for.
What happened to Tata? Tata is a story. Why is India now blossoming?
I agree with you. And I think the question you asked was about scale of support. I'm telling you that it's not because they don't support Innocent; they actually support Innocent in Nigeria.
No, they
but
don't.
The Nigerian government don't support it. Let's not do it now. Let's not do that. You know, the Nigerian government give them money now. Innocent, from what I gather, is building an electric car plant in Nigeria right now. So it's not like they're not.
It's a private business.
Yes, but also supported by the federal government. Yeah.
No,
okay, I want me to find out.
Google it now. Google it now. We like facts now. Bring facts.
Okay. So my point is that Nigeria, to an extent, supports almost all groups. Nigeria, if there was one thing you want to pinpoint to say that the Nigerian elders before now, the ones that came after the independence, managed to put in place, especially the ones that came after 1999, the way they put this constitution together, they put it in such a way that everybody has to an extent, participate in the system. And this is why you see it in the military, you see it in the appointment of ministers, you see it in almost everything we do, even education. They tried in the constitution, not even in law, in the constitution, to make it so that everything is equal. The only area I feel like they didn't tap into enough is presidential level, where they should have made it either permanently rotational, or they should have created a presidential council instead of all these shenanigans that happen towards an election all the time.
A military guy, now why are you not talking about the bullets, the weaponry that was made in Biafra? Why didn't they tap into it? I thought that's what you should be talking about.
I support all those things, but it's not everything. It's not. See, Nigeria government is not making anything. They barely are. It's only Dangote now that is manufacturing. What is Nigeria manufacturing? So it's affecting everything. But you're talking about only Biafra, but it's affecting everything. It's not only Biafra.
No.
It affects.
No, I did a simple comparison. I said, comparing the Second World War and the small war we had, trying to bring the people that lost, and trying to know that by bringing everybody up, we all succeed, and then we have allies. You don't have enmity, and people are not dragging you back. Let me tell you something. Going back to Tinubu, I'm sure we all agree that the car that at least even if Tinubu is not driving innocent, all his appointees, ministers should be driving innocent. By the
Yes, they
time
should be.
driving innocent, they will insist on higher standard. They will find out the problems with innocent. That's how Tata started, and that's
But
how.
let me ask you now, Odi, do you think if you ask Nigerians, should the federal government support innocent, what percentage do you think would say Nigerian government should? That in terms of they should start using innocent cars.
I think for official purposes,
Yes,
Muslim people will say yes.
exactly. That so it tells you that it's just the elites that are just causing this problem, and
But it's
those elites, make no mistake, they include Southeast people too. The
oh yeah,
elites
of course.
include them.
Now I'm not talking about. I've criticized the Southeast leaders in this platform, even the ones from my state, more than any other person. You have to hold your own accountable in quotes before you go. And how can I be complaining about Buhari when I have people, like Hope and other people? Buhari has never been my problem. Buhari is punishing his own brothers. Buhari is more of a problem for Katsina people. Was more of than people in my state. There's much more insecurity and poverty in Katsina than my state. Why? So what am I? What is not my problem? Tinubu, even what Tinubu is doing, his Oshun people are suffering more than my own people. So that's not the problem. I'm not trying to. What I'm saying is, it's about time. Our leader, what we have is a leadership problem. Say, look, you see, the followership or the people are gullible. People they have very short memory. You look at Abia State, right? For example, there were people supporting all these the thieves that were in Abia State for a very long time. Oh, Onyishi, people were hailing them and all that, and they were getting peanuts. Now we have a good governor. Everybody it's like, oh, thank God. How did this guy not come for how many years? He's doing very simple things. He's not even doing big stuff.
You're talking about OT.
Yeah, he's not
Okay.
doing big stuff. He's just doing basic stuff that people say, okay,
Let me talk to this guy, man. What? Fidel 5343. I've been seeing your comments. This guy seems to think that I'm against Nigeria or was against the Southeast in some ways. He was like, the moment he started talking about Southeast, that's where we part ways. But see, this is not about Southeastern issue. I just thought I should cover this issue about Dangote's comment. And I also think that some of the things that we support, we don't always, like some of the things we say about our country is not always true. Because when I look at Nigeria sometimes, I'm quite surprised how deliberate the crafting of Nigeria is. It's almost like somebody saw that these people are crazy. They like to accuse each other of stuff all the time. Let's just put it in the constitution to make sure that everybody gets their share. Nigeria, to be fair, given how diverse we are, they do try to make sure the diversity doesn't become a problem. They put it in the constitution so strongly. It's like it's part of the constitution. It has to be done. If a president is appointing ministers and they don't appoint the right set of ministers from each state, it becomes a big problem. Even any major organization that is created like NDDC, the way they appoint the people has to be based on regions. Like people pay attention to these things. I personally think they need to really put it in a way that like the Swiss system where they have the presidential council. I think if they do that, I don't like rotational system because rotational system takes too long. Can you imagine if you say it's rotational system and you start rotating from the sixth geopolitical this thing? What if you one president come to office and stays for 8 years? Then you go to the next geopolitical area. Other one stays for 8 years. You go to the other job. By the time it circles around, some people have lived their life and died, married and everything and gone. They've not. Governance will never come to their side. I say the best system is to go for a presidential council where all the regional heads make decision for the country. That it will take care of that part of the politics of Nigeria, and things will become stable. And most people and no group, no region will now start saying that, oh, they are left out, and then because they are all represented at the top, and then anybody that feels that their people are not represented very well, they will badmouth whoever they send there now. And the funny thing is that we don't badmouth the people we send to the center. Most of us don't badmouth them.
Let me say view. Look, this idea. You see, personally, I've always detested the idea of let's bring my people and your people, and when they go there, they will all start stealing together. Everybody has their people in Nigerian hierarchy. Who doesn't have people there? Like what presidential council? There will be chaos. What we need is just one President Chi. Whether he's from Gongola, who cares? The idea that if you get, even all this rotational presidency, the idea that, see, what happens when you have this, what you're talking about, or rotational, is that the other guys will gang up and bring the weakest from the other group. Imagine if you have 5
Oh my God.
Do you think,
Wow. Sisi Odi, come on, man. Is there no level you're not going to sink to when it comes to feeling like your people are going to be marginalized in one way or other? These are your people. Why would they choose the best person from your people?
See, I don't wallow in self-pity. What I'm saying, the idea, see, you have a preformed notion about what people from my own side think. I don't think.
No, but you just said it just now that the other people will gang up and
land. I said it's not about my own people. I said for every other region, you go and get the weakest from that. That's how politics work. But hold on now. Let me land on my point. I never feel as an Igbo man as if that an Igbo man is marginalized. It's impossible to marginalize an Igbo people. Can't you see that an Igbo person? What has been done is to take politics away from them. Of all the regions, of all the people,
but
who
they have
been suppressed educationally or by income-wise, economically. No, the Igbo man, wherever you have the goods, he will go there and take it. If it's in Kano, he will go to Kano and take it.
Hold on, you said something that I wanted to question. Why do you truly believe that they've taken politics from the Southeast?
Oh, politics? No, politics. Obviously, there's no Igbo man has not been president, since whatever started, right? That's that one is the
same is true
leadership.
But how do you explain that an Hausa man has not been president too?
What do you mean by Hausa man?
A Hausa man has not been president since 1999. As a matter of fact, the only Hausa head of state we've ever had was Abu Salam Abubakar.
So you're talking about, look, I don't want us to degenerate.
Don't try to shift it. Don't try to shift it, because this is a very, very important point. Hausas are the largest single group we have in Nigeria.
No,
they
hold
will
on.
not produce a president.
Are you serious? Don't you know that the Hausas in Nigeria have subjugated their authority to the Fulanis? Do I need to say it on TV?
So in other words, they too are marginalized. You are not the only marginalized
group. The other day, nobody. I didn't say. I never used the word the Igbos are marginalized. I've never used.
By saying that by saying that they took politics away from them. Is that not what you are implying?
No, it's not.
What does that mean then? If they took politics away?
No, you can be I've never been shouting for Igbo presidency. It means nothing to me. What I said is we want good leaders.
Said it though.
How?
you were the one that raised the statement that they took politics away from the southeast, and then
And
hold on, then you said there was no Igbo president. So those are two indications that
no,
you are saying.
you're the one bringing, specifically making that point. You see, you're the one dragging the discussion to that point. What I
No, but
said,
you say it. It's your words that I'm using.
no, you're not using my word. You can play back the video. What I said specifically is that you cannot marginalize an Igbo man. I said that. Have I not said it? How many times? I said it is not,
Oh my
you
God!
know,
Because it was said that by satanism. What is by satanism,
no,
Tracy?
no. What I
It's not that by satanism.
don't be don't look. I said it is impossible technically to marginalize an Igbo man. That's what I said. I said, don't pity me. I don't wallow in self pity. An Igbo man is one of the most economically advantaged person in Nigeria. We know that. So why are you? What Igbo man doesn't need presidents to succeed. What we're saying is Nigeria needs good leadership to be able to succeed.
And
That's a different
now,
argument.
if this was the point you make, I wouldn't be asking any question. If this
No,
was your
that's the
main
point
point.
I've been trying to make. The problem is that you're hearing what you've been hearing from maybe other folks, and you think that's what I'm trying to say. Mike, I've been very clear on this point. I
But you
said,
don't hear yourself though. When I said you should have a presidential council system where all regions have pick
I
their
said I
own
don't believe in
leader.
that. That
Yeah,
I want.
but
What
that
I
is
want
the
is
most stable system.
no. What I said. What I want is. I've always said that I want a benevolent dictator. I never said in this word. I've always said that I want what I want. I don't want democracy in Nigeria. I want dictatorship. I've
Wow.
always said it. What I want is a benevolent dictator. Democracy is not for Africa. Can't you see that? Can't you see it doesn't work? You
But
know,
what if democracy is the only thing for Africa?
yeah?
Maybe
So,
democracy is the only thing for Africa because Africa is so diverse.
well, look, we will get to that point. We've been in this journey for at least Nigeria has been there since 1904. We've been there over 100 years. It
So
hasn't worked yet.
we can't afford to fight each other now. And part of the reason why maybe Nigeria is even still together is because they made so much effort to represent everybody. This is why they created so many states. This is why they put all the regions and everything, and also pass into the constitution so that everybody will be able to be represented. Remember, the first time Nigeria was created, they didn't have all these states, and guess what happened after that? It didn't take long. There was big problem. But now that they created so many states, even if the Nigerians would don't like it, it's the most stable period that we've ever had. From
No, 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 no.
26,
How can you,
26 straight
Father,
years of no
how
coup in
can you say
Nigeria,
this is
that's the longest
are
period.
you a Nigerian? This is
Has there
the
been a
most,
military coup for
hold on.
26 years?
No, but military coup only kills maybe 2 or 3 folks. Nigerians are dying in hundreds of thousands every year. Are you?
Yes. No. That's
This is the
not
most
my point. I'm
insecure
talking
and
about
unstable Nigeria has been
no,
since
no, no.
independence.
Actually, in terms of the political process, that's what I'm talking about. In terms of electing leaders, this is the most stable period because often it takes a military coup to remove a leader, or you elect a president and the military man will remove that one. They keep removing each other. 26 straight years of power changing hands in Nigeria, technically, for better or for worse, peacefully that way. It's
That has
not
only
something.
benefited the West, and
Yes,
not the people.
before it has always been benefiting the West, but the only thing that has changed now is that Nigeria, I believe that the states, the power the states were given has manifested they have interest in keeping the hegemony as it is right now.
I
They don't
thought
want to
you
break
liked
anything up.
my brother. I thought you liked China. You liked Iran. You like what do you like about those countries? It's dictatorship.
I like them because they offer alternatives. It's
No,
for
but
strategic reasons,
yeah,
for our own purpose. See, I don't care whether it's a dictatorship we have or a democracy that we have. I personally, I don't care. What I care about is we get out of the existential threat position that we are in right now. Because if we are out of it, I'm not sure I care about all this debate. I have
look,
other things that I like to talk about.
democracy. See, democracy is very expensive. It's riddled with criminality. You know, the only place is even Kwashi working is in the United States. Look at the Arabian brothers there. They have their little dictatorship. It's working out for them. The Rwanda guy is a dictator. He's
Mhm.
he's having, you know, is Rwanda not benefiting from him? If you get a benevolent dictator that is
Mm.
patriotic, your country will, if Nigeria gets a patriotic dictator that
Mhm.
loves his country and is not stealing money and taking it to, look at Gaddafi was a dictator. Was it not good for Libya?
Yeah, it was good now until it wasn't.
So, well, until people said he wasn't. The Gaddafi
No,
was
no,
always
until
a
they
good
removed him
leader.
now, then he wasn't able to be good anymore. Now that's the problem.
Now, is you know, Thomas Sankara, was he not a dictator? The guy in Burkina Faso, is he not a dictator? All the AES, are they not dictators? But their people are loving them. People,
See,
people,
I
their
don't.
country
I've
people
told you,
love
I
them.
don't have any. I'm not have any hang-ups. I don't care about government types. I don't care about economic policy ideology. I don't care about political ideology. I don't care about all those things.
No,
I just care
sorry,
about
before Pansat
getting our
jumps in there.
countries into
No,
getting our country out of the existential mess in terms of security that we are in. That is because people keep thinking that is a joke, because that one surpasses politics. That one is life, and that's why we shouldn't care whether it's a dictator, democracy. It doesn't matter. Whoever
but,
is in there should do the right thing by the people.
okay, let's even go with your what you're requesting. You don't care about what type of government we are, but you just said that we've been most stable, maybe political transition, but Nigeria was safer with dictators. In Abacha's regime, you will have Boko Haram running around
No,
in
no.
in
At that
Zafar.
time,
He will clean it
we were
up in
safer.
1 week. You go,
Yes,
you have people running around in Sokoto, and they say they're ISWAP 1 week. So you know, like it
but
just
during the time of
nobody's debating
Abacha, we
anything.
didn't have Al Qaeda the way we have it now. But Gaddafi
Well,
hadn't fallen
you know, let
and
them
sent all
try
those
now.
weapons into the Sahel.
Nigeria had so much security. We were exporting security to our ECOMOG brother, to our ECOWAS brothers. We had
We
so
have
much
so much
security.
security.
If anything that's happening there, is okay, is it Charles Do, Samuel Do? Okay, we're coming. Everybody was afraid of us.
We never had security. We just had security amongst people like us. That's all.
No,
See, Odi, think about it from this
I
point of
don't
view.
want us to get lost, you
Look
know,
at,
because
hold on now. No, try to open your mind.
oh,
Look
my
at
mind is very
Iran.
open. You're the
Okay,
one lost in,
okay.
but go ahead.
Look at Iran. When Iran was confronted and they took out their top brasses, that is because, and Iran is relatively more secure than Nigeria. That is because they are encountering first world conflicts. And we, the security that you claim we have, the people we are dealing with are midgets like us. How can you consider us secure when it comes to that level? And that's why I don't consider us secure. If you want to compare us to West African countries, yes, we are secure. But compared to in the world, no. We are some of the weakest nation in one of the weakest in the world. So, Pansat.
No, let me land then. I'll give it over
Okay.
to Sansa. Look, you know, what you're saying essentially is suicidal. You know, see, all you've been advocating is let's go and grab some nuclear bomb, grab one thing so that we will not be secure. Everybody will be afraid of us. Iran has done everything you asked them to do. It took only 12 days for them to kill all their top military brass. They just didn't want to kill the Ayatollah because they didn't want to have the fallout of what they didn't know. Everybody was scared because of it, what has happened with Iraq. And they said, let's just leave this once. They have flogged them into submission. One boy was here today saying, oh, Hamas has not lost. Hezbollah has not lost. This one, that one. I was like, you know, like, what are we even doing here? You know, you're asking us, you believe that secure Nigeria is a Nigeria with nuclear bomb. No, no, no. What we need is go and I'll give you assignment. Go and read about the Ottoman Empire. Why the Ottoman Empire
Hold on,
it was economic, but
hold on,
we'll talk about it.
Odi. Does Iran have nuclear weapon?
Iran does not have nuclear weapon from what they say, because
Then
if they
that's
had
why
it,
they were attacked. Do you now? Let me ask you a second question. Do you think if they had nuclear weapon, they would be attacked?
We are not sure. They may have. Let me tell you something. Look, the way Israel is. Let me tell you the way you see. This. I really don't want to short pants out too much, but let me tell you something. All these people forget that when the West was supporting Iraq to fight Iran, Israel was the only support they had from a serious country in their war against Iraq. America was on Iraq's side. Israel was supporting Iran during that
So
war.
two
And this
allies,
Ayatollah and his
two
friends
allies were
were there. Hold
supporting
on
two
now.
sides to fight
Hold on.
against each other.
Hold on now.
And
Hold
you don't
on.
see the diabolic
Let
behavior
me
now.
tell you, the way Israel sees Iran now, the way Israel is, if they have one nuclear warhead, or 5, Israel probably has 2,000. I'll tell you, if Israel has to use it to destroy Iran from their own 2 nuclear war, they will do it. I'm telling you, these people have PTSD about being cleared out of this
Sorry,
earth.
you are saying that Israel will nuke Iran if Iran has nuclear weapons.
If they have to do it to stop them from having
Okay,
anyone, if
so
they have one, they will nuke it to get
you
it
know
from
that
you.
if Israel nukes Iran and Iran nukes Israel, Israel is gone.
Well, we shall see when we get there.
And
See,
you
we are
are
saying,
saying that Israel would choose to
when
destroy themselves first.
you see, Israel has been through wars. If you read their history, let me tell you, you see all these small, when Hamas was throwing their javelin over to Tel Aviv, and everybody said, oh, let them try this one. When Iran comes, they use slap within 2 days, killed all their everybody. They still, those Mossad people are still there. I speak the truth the other day, was saying, oh, the Mossad person is that the man is walking around talking, saying everything. This is 28 people, mostly civilians, that died, almost 1,000 people for this kind of country. Nigeria needs to be economically viable. We need to get the weapons we need and spread our sphere of influence. Our problem is not America. When Britain was there, they just had Britain. They didn't go and fight Rome. You don't need to fight Rome. When Rome collapses, then you look for how to spread your influence. Or you are on a suicide mission, my brother, and we don't
Hold
need
on,
that.
I think I don't know where you conflate defending yourself to attacking America. Nobody said you should attack America. Nobody, like your example of the England fighting Rome. England didn't need to fight Rome because Rome didn't come and attack them again after Rome fell, or even when Rome left that area. My point is that we have to defend ourselves. And if you conflate that with attacking America, that is very, very wrong.
No,
If
all
America
I've always
attacks us,
said,
we should be able to defend ourselves.
I've
That
always
is it.
said that I would rather be, okay, let me even use, I would rather be Singapore than be North Korea. I'll end my case there.
Of course, you would rather be Singapore. Singapore is not. I would rather be China than this thing, but you don't have that luxury. Singapore, what you should be ashamed of is for us is that Singapore is
Singapore
an
is
ally.
achievable. It's achievable.
Let me finish the point. Singapore is an ally of the West right now. Japan is an ally of the West. Yeah, they are all doing well. Why are we not doing well? So does that not tell you something that the relationship we have with the West is not a positive one?
You are choosing to be North Korea, brother. You want to go and get nuclear bomb to protect yourself. I'm saying I don't need nuclear bomb. I just need to be friends with the West and do the good things for my people and develop my economy
But
and
you
make
will
my
not
people
develop
happy.
now. Has that not proven to you? They've already proven to you that they don't care about your
Are you not
development.
even listening to our discussion? You see, your mind is so set and rigid that you can't even. We've
You
been talking
said
about
I
how
just
to develop
I
our
just
Nigeria.
answered you. It's like you don't even hear yourself. Your words were you just want to develop your people. It doesn't have anything to do with the West. And I'm telling you, the West that you are saying you want to develop your people with, they don't care about developing the people right now.
No,
60
we've
years you've been
talked
doing
about,
it.
of course, we talked about why our people are not developing. We mentioned Tinubu, what he needs to do with Innocent. We mentioned Tinubu, what he needs to stop doing with Chaguri. We talked about the ostracization of the important assets. Nigeria has the technical know-how. The best of us are getting the best jobs in Washington.
So
They can't get that same
your
job in
conclusion
Sokoto.
is that there's something wrong with us as a
No,
people.
I didn't say
As
there's
country.
something wrong
No,
with Nigerian leadership. That's what I
no, no.
said.
No,
There's nothing wrong with us.
let's get to the crux of it. You are saying
No,
because
I'll let
no, no,
Bansat, I'm sure he has a lot to say. I
don't run
don't.
now. Don't run now.
Oh,
There's
how can
nowhere
I
to
run?
run.
No. I just feel
There's
bad
nowhere to
for
run.
people being here.
So
Me,
hold
go
on
ahead.
now. Hold on.
If
There's
Bansat, if you
something.
don't mind.
Calm down now because you are saying that in a way. That's what you are saying in a roundabout way.
It's
Because
just
if you look at
forefathers trying to be
if
disrespectful.
calm
Like,
down please, calm down please.
out of the
I
you
just want to get to the
want to be
point.
disrespectful or
Pansat,
have
please
chaos on
give me
the
1 minute.
platform.
Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
But why are
See,
you muting me? If you
1
want to
minute,
actually
then
do
let
1
me
minute,
talk
you
now.
can
Stop
ask
getting
me,
me to
and then
forget what I'm saying.
but don't use your moderation to do anything. Don't mute me when I'm talking to you.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
So try
Thank
to,
you.
and then move it on. I mean, what the hell's wrong with you? What are you doing?
Okay, can I speak?
Yeah.
Thank
But
you.
hold it up now because I won't be here forever. I just want to make it.
You are trying to make me forget what I'm saying. What I'm going to say. So by saying that, acknowledging that the Japanese are doing well while trading with the West, and then you saying that it's our leaders that makes all the difference. That is the reason why we are not doing very well. So you are saying
Yes.
something is wrong with us. You're not saying
No.
something is wrong with the. Hold on. You are not saying that maybe America sees something in Japan that they don't see in us. Not because something is physically wrong with us, because we are not are not important to them to be able to develop, to support us to develop. If they wanted to support us to develop, no matter how bad our leaders are, they will support them. They supported their enemy that they nuked to develop, and they will not support somebody that is their friend, that has been their friend for over 60 years to develop. It's because when it comes to international policies, the way they look at it, if you're not useful to them, you are useless to them, and they will not care for you. That is
Okay,
what
let
it
me.
comes down to.
So
Okay,
here's where I disagree with you. Let me just
guys
make my last
carry
point.
on.
Here's where I disagree with you massively. If you look at the American subcontinent, there's a country called Venezuela. Venezuela has chosen the leaders they chose. They decided to do what you have done, to be antagonistic to the power that is in their backyard and do everything they can do to fight with them. Everybody in Venezuela has run away, one of the richest countries that should be in the world. What we have is a country like Nigeria. And when we're talking about leadership, we had an election in 2023. We had a good opportunity to get a good leader who said all the things that we needed to do that most of us would have brought our money back from diaspora and our skills to make the country move it to the next level. But we didn't do that. It's not the fault of the Nigerians. It doesn't mean that Nigerians are stupid or something. I'm saying the leadership we have in Nigeria is a problem. And once we get, Singapore took only one leader to change their lives forever. It took Chairman Mao to change China. One leader will change Nigeria. I'll rest my case.
Our country is important to them. That's why they are supporting them. Pastor, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Let me say hello to everybody on the panel, Steph and forefathers, Audie, and those who are in the comment section. Basically, it's by degree. You're off by some degrees. Audie's off by a degree or two. I can't believe that Audie is considering that he doesn't want democracy, that he wants a military dictatorship, and that's so disappointing. I know you must have.
I didn't say military dictatorship. You see,
I said anything.
I didn't say military dictatorship. I never said that.
Benevolent dictatorship. Any dictatorship at all. It's
just someone who takes power completely and makes the decision in the interest of the people. Like the kings of Saudi Arabia or whatever you have in Oman.
That's what we have. That's what we don't have a democracy. Now you could make that point, and all of us will agree with you. And I believe that's what you meant. That if we cannot attain democracy, then we should settle for something else. But it's still not something that I expect to hear from you. But forefathers, you have to know, maybe in South Africa, for example, they used to have nuclear weapons, right? It's really not a big deal. South Africa had nuclear weapons up to 1989, they're the only state that voluntarily gave it away as something that's unsustainable in 1991. But we know what the game they're playing. That's an apartheid government. So Britain and the rest of these people, they know what they're doing with that. There's only about 9 countries that have nuclear weapons, by the way. A country like Japan could develop nuclear weapons anytime that they want to, right? They have the technology, they have, so we can also be pursuing civil
nuclear
economic use of nuclear energy, not actually going into fossil, having it converted over into nuclear weapons. It's not just having nuclear weapons. You have to have a method of delivery. We don't have. Does Nigeria have a way to deliver? Even if you're giving some nukes right now, can they deliver it? They can't.
We have canoe now. What do you mean? We can use canoe.
You gotta be serious.
we don't have any delivery mechanism, clearly.
Yeah, you see, I gave you credit last time. I say it's your psychosis is based on your patriotism, and up to a degree now, I think you're going overboard. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, right? It's only 9 countries in the world that have nuclear. Germany doesn't have nuclear weapons. There are so many countries that if they wanted to, they can convert over and do it anytime. But it's a stupid stuff. You don't need it to do anything that needs to be done. There are things that we need to do, which is what I was telling you the last time. Why do you keep doing this? There are a lot of things that we need to pick good leaders, like Audie was telling you. You're not concerned about that. But there's a nexus between having a good leadership in the country and almost anything else, including security. You cannot have security when you have idiots that we have in both in the Asarok and the Senate. All these are corruptible people. Even if we have nukes, they could buy the codes from them. Right? These are corrupt people that go overseas and they have intrusive surgery done on them, basically on a monthly basis. Somebody like Buhari or Tinubu and all those people, sickly people. We need a good leadership in our country from A to Z, not just the presidency. We have to have law and order in that country. We have to spend a lot of money on education. We have to have a lot of research, classrooms with laboratories, students with purpose and incentive to go to school. See, over there where you're from, they're not going to school. That's why you guys, when we're talking about this, you don't want to listen. Education is very important. People from your state, there in River State, you going to Bayelsa, go to the creeks, right? They're not going to school. You can't even believe it's Nigeria. I don't think you've been over there. So how are you going to have security if you're not going to school? If you don't have laboratories, students, people doing research and development. We're not even talking about that. What about having food security? What about securing our borders?
No, those things you get them when you
have a nuclear weapon. Okay, hold on.
Not just nuclear weapon. You have to secure the land first.
Yeah, we had this debate last week, and you were eviscerated by everybody.
I wasn't actually.
You were upset.
I'm being proven correct by history. If you cannot learn from history, God help you, because you just saw what happened in Iran, and you are here. Do you think when they come to your country to come and decimate it, they will take permission from you? They will come and they will do as they please. They will not wait for you to have all these your things first.
Well, they're doing that now. Wait a minute, they're doing that now. You saw how the last year when you and I were having this debate, I was telling you our situation is analogous to the one in Congo, and what the UN had plotted for us is analogous to what they have in Rwanda. You notice that eventually those two merged, where Rwanda was trying to take over a lot of stuff from Congo because there have been a lot of resources there. The Hutus are like the Yorubas and the Igbos, right? And the Tutsis are like the Fulanis. So they at some point the Hutus had enough in Rwanda that they went ahead and tried to stop those Tutsis from taking over their country. So Bill Clinton and Americans considered it to be genocide. So because those people they said if you're over 6 foot tall and your nose is straight, we're gonna take care of you. And they did that, and they called it genocide. So they came and actually took over Rwanda, UN, and gave it to the Tutsis. So now they're encroaching into Congo. So make a long story short, a day or two ago, Trump was able to bring them to the White House to sign a deal, but Congo had to sign away their mineral resources to the United States. Now, I like it because at least there won't be that much killing and stuff like that, right? The US is a more humane operator than the British and the Germans and those people. They slaughtering these people like crazy. So the only thing that's going to save them now, so as people who don't even want the, they don't want the mineral resources. There are people like that in Congo. Just take this thing and get the hell out of here. Like we Biafrans say, take that oil. It's a cost to us. We want to go to school. We want to have engineers. We want to have doctors, lawyers, artists, actors, whatever, rather than having this oil. From our calculation, it's about $20-something billion. And we could make that kind of money just selling stockfish or whatever it is we want to sell. So, make a long story short, education is what you should be emphasizing to your people.
It's like you see what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I've had people say what you are saying over and over again, like over your generation especially. They won't stop talking about it. We have the highest concentration of professors in Africa, in Nigeria. We've had enough education. We don't implement anything to protect what we have. That's why we are losing it. All the other nations that have it, you can say it a million times all you want. Explain to me why other people that have security have those things, why we don't.
Okay.
You can't rely on other people to protect you. You have to protect yourself.
The dilemma, right? It's something that if you listen, it's not like the chicken and the egg dilemma, right? It's not. You have to go to school, even as an individual. You don't just go to school and say, okay, I'm done with it. I'm done with going to school. No, you become a scholar. You're gonna keep the world moves so fast. The revolution
does that apply to this situation.
That's what I'm saying. When it comes to when you're talking about education in the generic sense that we're using the word, it means that if Americans, for example, who could have students even in high school who could develop energy without us having to go through what Oyibo went through, which is to drag cables and stuff like that with fossil fuel.
What are you talking about?
Somebody, a good student could go to that Sahara Desert, figure a way, because you have so much energy being poured out by the sun every day. But Oyibo didn't know that 200 years ago. So if in order for you to do research and development, you don't have to follow their footsteps. You could be dealing in neutrinos instead of even worrying about nuclear weapons.
Is that how China did it?
Hold on.
How China did it?
Let me land. I don't want you to be spoon feeding me. Let me make my case, then you come in. I'm trying to say to you.
No, I don't want you to waste time because you're just going to keep talking about all these things that are irrelevant to the point we are making. You are saying that which one comes, because it's back to the same conversation we were having last weekend. Which one comes first? I say you can have your conversations, but approach your national security as a matter of survival. The way we are approaching it right now is why we never succeed. We keep thinking that it's something that
let me hold on. It's my turn. And Steph has to come after me. What I'm saying is that I just have to refer you to the last session, right? That your trick of having an endless discussion on things that are settled. We don't have a dilemma, like I said. No, let me land.
All the evidence around the world. I can't even see my conversation.
No, every time.
Give me evidence for whatever you are saying, and I'll give you evidence to show that those people have better security than you do.
No, I've declared victory on that thing that you and I do. Here's why, because every time that we've had this discussion,
let's base it on evidence.
Everybody,
let's not go with opinion. Let's base it on evidence.
Hold on.
I don't want to waste my time today.
Every time we had a debate, everybody on the platform and those in the comment section have admonished you that you're wrong.
Admonish me with evidence, please.
No. Listen to me. I've said to you that when it comes to security, you have to have a lot of things before the actual security. In essence, it's not just having manpower, right? So even when you cite examples of wars going on right now, for example, Iran, it will take Nigeria 50 years to attain the kind of technology, indigenous technology, and manpower that the Iranian guards have. They have more sophisticated weapons, right? They have all kinds of stuff, including ballistic missiles.
50
And
years.
let me just land, because we're going back. We're not even going forward, right? So, but not even in spite of that, as a matter of fact, because of that, they expose themselves to attack. It's not enough, right? I said to you, in order for you and I to have the discussion we're having, the Nigerian state would have to do a threat assessment, right? This is the only time you could get on a solid ground. If a threat assessment is done and we find out that unity is our problem, leadership is one of the things that could cause the state to fracture or disintegrate, right? Those kind of things. Instead of Oyibos attacking us, they may say, hey, look, in the next 100 years, we're never going to be attacked by America or whatever, because we don't have the kind of resources that they really lack. We have oil. They could get oil somehow. We don't have anything that they really want to attack us for. So they could move back the American or Oyibo threat backwards. The other things you're talking about are things that a good leader can give us that we can get right now. For example, securing our borders. A good leader can get the border secure with the troops we have. It's just
No, you can't.
No, let me learn now. It's just the will. Okay, you have to calculate. Are they willing to do so? If they're willing to do so, of course they can. What do you mean? We have, okay, in your count, we have 200,000 soldiers, right? So
Yeah,
securing our borders, paramilitary.
If you include the paramilitary, if you go only with the actual military, it's about 150,000 or so.
They could secure our borders, right? Nigeria is not such a big.
Who's going to secure Lagos? Who is going to secure Port Harcourt? Who is going to secure Abuja?
Okay,
Who is going to secure Kano? If you all of them at the border.
Listen to what I'm saying. The person could say, you know what? We're gonna need state policing. We're gonna have to divulge. We're gonna have to give some power to security guards. Like here in the United States, even some big military industrial complexes are secured by security officers because it's so expensive to have actual police to secure such. Even nuclear sites could be secured by security guard. Campuses, you have campus police, you have county police, sheriffs, right? You have city police. So it's something a good leader would bring in the expert. You're not an expert. You have not laid a foundation. You don't know what our threats are. Is Ghana gonna be attacking us? But it also defeats. Let me just say this, and I'll let others. I see that Eccentric and others have come in here. Let me say this to you, and you're beginning to embarrass us on this platform because you are like somebody who's walking around soliloquizing security like a madman. We have to do a threat assessment. If, for example, like the mistake you made last week, I asked you a question, but you wouldn't answer it. If what you are measuring strength by is the number of soldiers, now who is our neighborhood in our hood or the neck of the woods that could attack us? We have the biggest military.
Pastor, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you answer that, can you answer what the SWOT for Nigeria is? SWOT, because you mentioned threats.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Please.
No. That's for him. That's for him.
No. You shouldn't be asking.
For me.
You shouldn't be asking questions like that.
Okay. When is your turn? When is your turn? You can ask me.
Don't do that. It's going to create confusion.
So to land it, all I'm saying, but I need you to answer this for me right now. If the whole thing to measure strength is the number of the military. Who do we have to threaten us with their numbers?
What do we have? You know about Egypt that's just around the corner. Do you know about the Boko Haram that is in the country? That you have to be everywhere to make sure that they don't take advantage.
How many
of
are they? How many are Boko Haram?
See,
don't say Egypt is gonna attack us.
Hold on.
We're in West Africa.
Hold on now.
Yeah.
If when you are in your country like that you are enjoying right now in America, and you call the police, and the police shows up there in 5 to 10 minutes, is it because you have a standing army that is going to attack you, that they have so many all around you? Because it's to make sure that when an issue arises, they're able to close it down like a net. That is what you need to do for your country. We have a country whereby bandits will be operating for hours and nobody will be there to save them. And I remember somebody was commenting on one of the platforms I was on, a Nigerian that you all know here. He was in Nigeria and he saw the gap. He said these people are not protected. You know, because the country's presence is hardly felt there because it's so remote. Okay. When those bandits show up there is nobody to save them.
All right, let me tell you one thing, and then I'll leave it at that. We'll go at it when it's your turn. Those military are working with the bandits. So they without them, you remember when Nnamdi Kanu used to say, if you remove the military, remove the police even, you have peace in the Southeast. The only place we have trouble with herdsmen and others where you have the military. People in Benue Plateau are telling you that the military are giving 2 days advance notice that they're coming, right? And they won't show up until those people are done and gone. So I keep telling you, consider the possibility that the problem we actually have is the military. Think about that. It's the military. Once you're able to investigate that and you find that not to be the case, then you have a point. But for now, the victims tell you that the modus operandi, it's like these people are working together with the military. Where you don't have the military, you don't have that attack from the bandits.
So that we can bring Steph in there. See, if you are trying to argue that there are actors in the military that are also part of the crime wave or terrorist actions that you are seeing in Nigeria, clearly there are, because there are people that are working with foreigners, foreign entities to also sabotage the outlying villages so that they can drive the people away from there, and they exploit their natural resources. We know that is what is going on in Nigeria too. It's not only extremism or herdsmen wanting to grab land. There's also an element of, in short, that one is the biggest driver. An element of stealing natural resources from the localities. In the end, the way you deal with the problem is the way you deal with the problem that somebody dealt with the problem in the country that you are in. Other men dealt with that problem in the country you are in, and we need to do it for our own people too. That is the argument that I've been putting forward. You all see
that argument. You don't have an argument from me on that. That particular point you just made is salient and it's part of the mix. What you keep doing is to go ahead trying to fight Uyibo, for example, right? Or
who
have
says I want to fight anybody?
No. When you're
I said we should protect ourselves. I didn't say any. See, if you are trying to protect yourself, but you're not looking to attack anybody, and they attack you, know you already have an enemy. You just didn't realize it.
That is true. But listen, what I'm saying is that try to focus on one thing. We have internal enemies and then we have external enemies, right? Now, without having done any threat assessment, let's just assume that by naming off the ones that we see today, including the herdsmen attacks, right? Taking our resources and causing a war there before and dispersing people like they do in Congo, the same thing. So what I'm saying to you is that can be solved with a good leadership. Let's just say you yourself emerged to be president of Nigeria today, and you handed a dossier of our threat assessment, and you notice that at least you have to plug the hole with those two things that we're talking about right now. You have forces to do that. You have enough resources to do that. Are you kidding me?
You don't.
You do. But go to somebody else, and then
We are
I
too
know
thin
that
on the ground. We are too thin on the ground. Anybody will tell you the same thing. Welcome, Steph. Thank you for joining us today. As you can see, the conversation has been going on, and somewhere along the line, we don't like to talk with evidence. We say we agree, but we say let's do something else first. It's just confusing. And Dangote clearly is indicating that Africa can turn into a heaven in 5 years. It shows how straightforward our problems are. It's not
with
that
him gone, if he goes today, Africa turns into heaven. I'm telling
okay.
you, if
With
he
him
says,
gone,
if he says, if he
that is
says,
your own
I'm
thing.
gone,
Can,
I'm
can
gone
we
from
can, we-
here.
can we allow this is Steph to speak, please? See, he said it, and he also said corruption is not the issue. He's saying some of the things that we've all heard on this platform. That is the fact that our leaders are taking money overseas. He too knows it. The question is, he didn't say why they are not stopping him. Many of them are his friends. He's not saying why they are not stopping. He's not saying how. He's not giving the people the way to stop them from doing that. This is the problem you see in Nigeria all the time. They will tell you they have a list of terrorists, people that are funding terrorists. They will not reveal it. They will have a list of the people that are stealing our crude oil. They will not release it. They tell us that people are stealing our money and taking it over. They will not tell us how to stop it. It's just on and on. So I don't know what you make of the conversation you've had so far.
Uh, Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Passat. Forefathers,
Good evening. Welcome.
I must commend you because I've always said that you have a very thick skin. You know, even though most
Thick
times you
skull,
are
Steph. He has a thick skull.
and thick skin too. You know, most times we flog him left and right on this panel, and he doesn't really take it to heart. And another day he come, he still jump back to the same thing again. It's not easy, you know. So I must commend you. But having said that, I've been hearing you going over the same issue for about 2 hours plus now. And I'm wondering, does it mean that when you bring out conversation like this, and when it is almost like it's done and dusted, you don't even learn anything from other people's point of view? Even when we learn from you as well, as in for us to have a common ground. And another day you bring up the same topic, you still maintain the same position, 100%. Now, you are so carried away with what Dangote said. Dangote told you corruption is not a problem, and he said yes. Do you know why Dangote told you that corruption is not a problem?
I know why, because I already reached the same conclusion myself.
Why?
Because the fact that the money is leaving the continent is where the bleeding is happening. It's not the fact that corruption is happening. I've seen corruption in the UK, and we all know corruption that is happening in America. It's not damaging them.
Okay, let me tell you the reason why he said it. Because he's a beneficiary of the corruption.
That too could be it, but it's a fact of all nations.
Today, no. It's today the first time you're hearing that.
So sorry, Steph. Sorry, Steph. Both of us discussed this exact thing. I said this exact thing. I said he is a beneficiary of this corruption. You agree, but you forgot again.
So he's a beneficiary of the corruption, but he says taking it overseas is the problem. Let's say he was corrupt and he used it to build Dangote refinery. Is that so bad? That is the point he's making. Okay, answer it now. You see the point.
Is that how you build a nation?
No, I see. All nations are like that. Are you not in a country that is corrupt? Are you telling me that country is not corrupt? You can. If you give me the name of the country, I will pull the corruption cases that they have against them. It's all nations are corrupt. It's where you take the money to, because if you spend money in that country, the corrupt practices will be self-healing, because the money goes to a carpenter, goes to a driver, goes to a doctor.
Where do you draw the line, forefathers?
Okay, where you draw the line is when corrupt practices have gotten to a point whereby the state becomes dysfunctional, whereby like you go to a hospital.
Nigeria is not dysfunctional now.
No, Nigeria is dysfunctional, but he's saying that his point is that if the money was not leaving the country, it would be self-healing. Let's say one corrupt practice, let's say 10% is corruption, but the money is not leaving the country. The 90% that you pay that money to will help heal the economy again. But if you take that money overseas, that 90% don't get that money anymore. They are starved of the resources. And then you've already created also a bad culture of stealing resources. So it's double whammy. You create a bad culture and the money goes overseas. But if the money remains in Nigeria, the economy spins. People they will use that money to pay school fees, pay for doctor, pay for all kinds of different things. The country heals itself. It doesn't mean the corrupt practice is right.
I think it's hard. I think it's hard somebody like me agreeing with you sometimes because I don't even understand what you stand for. If you are here justifying what you heard from Dangote today, of every other person, the person you heard it from, you are here justifying it. It brings me to what somebody once told me, that Nigerians knows how to, sympathize and patronize the oppressors. So you are justifying it. No, even if any other person said it, you are just that because Dangote said it, you agree with him.
Do you want us to go
Still
to
I'm coming. Still all the money. So far you invested it in the country. It's okay. Still the country dry. Invest it in the country.
Yes.
Why do we have government in the first place?
Dangote is an arm of government. You don't know that.
That's what I'm saying. Why do we have government? Let's invite. No. Let's get people like Dangote. Hand the government over to them because it's better. They're gonna run it better. To me, it's better that way.
The moment you make them a government, then they start running badly. That's the problem. That's how capitalist systems work. Capitalist system creates titans of industry, and they go on to create this thing.
That's why I asked you, where do you draw the limit? So if it is okay, it's sanctioned.
In terms of corruption, the limit of corruption.
So anybody who is in government now should steal as much as he can, leave. Whether you're a councillor, a chairman, or whatever, just keep stealing. So
no. I think you can. The limit is when it becomes one. If you are caught stealing, you get punished. One, and secondly, if it gets to a point whereby you see a situation whereby even a doctor is being corrupt, they have to be punished. You see what I mean?
Why?
Because of the corrupt practices and people.
No, but you said it's not the problem.
No. The corrupt. So hold on. When he said corruption, he's talking about the money that is stolen. The money that is stolen, that is taken overseas. That if it is invested in Nigeria, the damage is not going to be as bad, because that is how the West do it. But if you take the money outside the country, that's where the problem is. Personally, I have reached that conclusion a long time ago, because anybody that knows about it, if you check online and they will do the simulation for you, you see that is how it works. No system is perfect, but your job is to try to reduce corruption.
When we say no system is perfect, it doesn't apply to Nigerian situation. Nigerian situation is pathetic. When you say no system is perfect, is when you see these countries that, like you said earlier, whenever somebody is caught in corruption practice or accused of corruption, he faces the law. If he's innocent,
if I ask
he goes scot-free. Once you are accused, you understand, everybody is a thief. But once your own is out, you understand?
What if I ask you
to face the law?
Let me ask you now. In 1980, was Nigeria as corrupt then as we are today? Was Nigeria as corrupt in 1980 as we are today?
I don't know the scale you want me to use, because it's subjective and relative.
Okay, so that's a tricky one. So generally, most people will assume that. Yeah, because in terms of we go on this street, you have to pay somebody. Yeah, you go on the street.
What was your question?
Is Nigeria as corrupt as? Of course, it's not.
Was Nigeria as corrupt in 1980 as it is today?
Nigeria was corrupt in 1980.
I
They're
think
not
it's
as
the
it is.
same thing. I think it's just the same. I don't think you can say it was more. It's same corruption. These guys. It's just that people are more digitalized. You know, people have more ways of putting things away. You know,
You mean our teachers were sleeping with their students, and there were a lot of expos, and doctors taking bribes, gouging our healthcare system. Come on, man. We all
Nigeria
know.
wasn't as corrupt as it was before.
Exactly. So it's clear that it was far less corrupt.
It was
What
far
the
less
point
corrupt.
the point I was trying to make is that the system is decaying, but that same thing doesn't happen in other countries because their money is not floating to overseas territory. It's remaining within their ecosystem. Ours, the reason
I
why
thought
ours
you
is not
said
healing
the
is
reason
because it's
is
going
because
overseas.
I thought you said the reason is because in the other climes they don't steal with impunity.
Yeah, but we were not dealing with impunity in 1980.
That's what I'm saying. That is that presently the
you
difference between
know.
us, the
Sorry, can
difference
I
between
jump in?
us and the
You
other
know,
clan is that in Nigeria presently, we'll steal with impunity. Unlike the other clan, there's still corruption, but it's not with impunity.
The point
I
I'm
think
trying to make.
I'm gonna hold on. I have a different view. You know, when you read about our post-colonial, our leaders, they were just as corrupt as these guys. You know, go and read about why they did that 1966 coup. It was the same thing. You know, go and read Man of the People. Have you read it?
No.
You know, go and read Man Chino Achabe. Go and read Man of the People. It was the same, you know, it was just that less people had access or less education. It was more of monopolized. A few families had access. Now everybody has access. We have many universities. You know, look, let me tell you, Zeke, was it? There was a MI5 guy that said that they started putting money for Ahmadu Bello in banks in London. The British people started moving money for him in banks in London. I'm sure the same thing probably for Nnamdi Azikiwe now. Although you should go and look at them very well. These people, they started moving money for them at that time. That's why those boys struck.
I agree with you, but
You know,
it is well established.
Said
go and look at. Hold on, let me see here. Go and look at the election we had: MPN, UPN, MPP. That election was fraught with the same rigging. In fact, in the 80s, the rigging we're having now is a small thing. Those people then, they will bring 10 and write 000. 10 will become 10,000. The rigging now is people are trying, technology is reducing some things.
Well, what is your argument? Are you trying to say no? Let's
I'm
not.
saying
Let's
that
not
it's the
just run
same human beings, my brother. Let me tell
it's
you.
the same human being. No. Hold on. Let's not go round and round. Are you
I'm
trying
not
to
going round
say?
and round. I'm trying
Hold
to
on
prove the
now.
point. You're saying that we are
Let me
more
finish
corrupt
my
now. I'm
Two
point.
saying
things
it's
cannot,
not true.
two things
No, we have to
cannot be
get
exactly
to a
the
certain
same.
point. We have
Is
to
he
get to a
more
certain point.
now? Is he more
Yes.
now or more that time?
I think it's the same.
No, it
I
can't be
think
the same.
it's just people had
Impossible.
more
No, it cannot be the
availability
same.
to be corrupt in some things.
Yeah,
You
the way
know,
you
So
compare
at
it.
schools, let's ask him directly. So you are saying at schools, people were more corrupt, were the same corrupt at our universities and secondary schools at that time as it is now.
actually,
And in the
look,
hospitals, the
people
same
were
thing.
doing exam. Let me tell you, people will go and write exam. We had the discussion here.
1980,
People will go,
we were doing
hold
this.
on now. People will go and write exam. They will take the result and give another person. In
At the same
1980,
level that they are doing now.
oh yeah, it may have even been worse then. You know, look, let me tell you
Oh
something.
my God! No,
Go
I
and
think
read.
you are kidding.
Go
You
and
are
read.
kidding,
Hold
Sam.
on now. Go and read. Go and read. I think it's Ecclesiastes. Someone said, "Do never ever say yesterday was." You see, human beings we have idea of obsessing with the past being better. If you come to America, they will tell you how the glorious days of the 1960s. But you know, economy is better now. people are living much better lifestyle and all that. It was, in the 1980s. Let me tell you, I told you, when I finished my primary school, I went to write the gifted children exam in Abuja. I never saw my results.
What year?
I don't want to say that, you know my age. No. It's
Oh my God.
I can talk with you privately.
The reason why I asked you what year is because we want to put it into context. Forefather is referring to a particular period in history of Nigeria.
Oh, well, when I finished this in the late 80s.
You are not the same age. You are not the same age with Awolowo or Zik.
No. I'm saying this one happened. Look, I'm telling you.
So what you are saying,
this happened in the 80s.
It's almost like the phase that we are comparing the past.
No. What I'm saying is that
students fall within the present.
You do exam, somebody will take the result and admit another person.
The present,
what level of corruption is that?
And the old.
That's what they used to do then. Now, is it not the same thing as sorting people?
Is that your experience then? That's what I'm asking you.
Yes. Now I'm using myself.
You were not in primary school then.
I was.
Oh my God.
What are you saying?
And tell us which year.
Well, I said 80s.
In the 80s?
Yes.
The forefather was referring to
I thought he said 80s.
Before the
he said corruption in the 80s and now. Is it not what you said?
1980.
Well, 80s. I can't be 80.
Not
I can't.
80s,
no, forefather was talking about before 70s.
Yeah.
No,
you can even include the point I was trying to make was that as time went on, Nigeria was getting more and more corrupt. And maybe there was a bit of slowdown during when Babangida, Abiola, Buhari was with Idiagbon was in office. There was a bit of slowdown, but as time went on, we were just getting more and more corrupt. And it is clear maybe corruption was more vertical, like only the top people were the corrupt people. Now, as time went on, it became more horizontal. Almost all systems became peculated with corruption. That is what I'm describing here. Yeah. And if that is the case, it shows you a decay in the society. That's what is going on over time. And the reason why that decay is never healed is because our resources were leaving the country. And that is the point Dangote was trying to make, that if our resources were not leaving the country, some of that money will help heal the system. And that is why other people, even if they are just as corrupt, at first they were even as corrupt as we were in the 70s, but they never seem to cross that threshold because
I don't think
the system seems to circle around and just remain the same.
I think you're missing the point of what Dangote
look at that. You say I'm making sense now. Suddenly they are beginning to see it. You see, why does it take so long for people to catch what I'm trying to say?
No, trust me. If you highlight many things they've said about you there, you would have got to sleep. I think you are just trying to get one point. Of course, I have to get you because 95% negative against you.
I have to choose one positive one. They keep giving me.
That's fair enough. Of course. Look, you do a great job, and look, I tend to come to this live when you are there. It's not like I think I'm almost non-agreeable with you. Because many times I come in is to give a different opinion, because whenever you go in with some of the guys, you guys are just in cahoots, you're all in agreement. Usually I want to say, no. So let's say there's somebody from Mars that is watching this to say, no. These guys they don't agree. There are people who believe different things. And that's why I come in and I spend time. Because I just, let me tell you, in the 60s, and I said this before, in the 60s, these guys were moving money abroad, though. Oh, you both taught them how to steal. This Abiola that people are talking about as 1 cent, he was one of the most corrupt people in Nigeria. Fela sang about him. Everybody knows, but everybody's crying about June 12th, what a great Democrats, and like, are you serious? People keep rewriting history every day, and they want us to now believe. I remember in the 90s and the 80s, people were saying this is the most corrupt time ever. Babangida, everybody hated Babangida. When SAP was introduced, it finished the economy. You know, everybody could, now people are trying to celebrate the 80s. You know, when, what's his name? When Shagari brought in austerity, you know, measures, when they were living large, it's the same mirror of what's going on now. They were living large and there was austerity measures for the poor. This is the mirror image of what happened in the 80s that's happened today.
But
It's just they're calling different names.
The reason why people are going back to the 80s was because, like I said, the system is decaying even further. Morality has gotten, that's immorality has increased. Lack of integrity has increased, because that's what happens to a system that is decaying. If you have a patient on the stretcher in the hospital and the patient is bleeding, you expect the patient to get any better? No. But if the patient is bleeding and somebody was feeding the patient and helping the patient, the patient is not likely to decay that rapidly. That is basically the similar analogy that
My brother, what we have now is that we have the internet, and all of us are able to have opinion. Before, it was Bayo Ononuga that used to write opinion in Tel, and we'll read it and it will be our opinion. Now, if Bayo Ononuga talks, I will go to Twitter and tell him how stupid he is and give him a counter. It's true. Now we have, and people are now saying, oh, it's imagine people like Bayo Ononuga, a confirmed tribalist, a hater of other people, used to be a mouthpiece of the people. That's where we are. We were then. This is so. Why are we celebrating this kind of thing?
Yeah.
This is, you know. Let's. Now we are all, look at. We are all in NTA now. Me and you. Imagine it every night speaking, and everybody can listen. Only few people had access, and people say it was not corruption. It was a very corrupt system. Obasanjo, you go and look at. I was watching one video today when they told what's his name, Gowon, that he's being removed in 1975.
Are you not seeing Steph is raising his hand?
Oh, sorry. No, I was, you know, I was lost in my. You get lost in your talk also.
I just wanted to point forefathers back to the reason why I came in, so that we can lay this matter to rest finally, if he will agree. You know?
Okay.
You are putting did they say the cart before the horse?
Yeah.
When you talk about security, in your own understanding, the kind of security you're talking about, because if you say secure your country, nobody will argue with you. But when you now go to explain what you mean by that security, that's where people fall out with you. You understand? And I'll tell you, you've lost me. You understand? You know what our present budget is. And you know the kind of leaders that you have, that they are not even patriotic to start with. So how do you want unpatriotic leaders to secure you in that sense against foreign aggression?
Yes,
because securing you against themselves, because they are even part of the people you are saying they're going to come and invade you.
You had somebody say they will have a benefit. They will be happy to have a benevolent dictator.
No, but they are part of those people. For instance, France is Tinubu's second home.
Yes, I don't have any. See, try to understand what I'm seeing here. Being friends with America is not the problem. Being friends with France is not the problem. It's the kind of friendship we have with them. They are friends with Japan. They are doing fine. They are friends with South Korea. They are doing fine. Even Saudi Arabia, they are all doing fine. At the core of it is the fact that we are inactive. We don't want to do anything for ourselves. When we say, okay, let's secure our country, we say, let's go and talk first. Fine, go and talk, but still secure our country, because when insecurity is happening, it doesn't take permission whether you finish talking or not. You have to have people, and we need to do that because we are bleeding money. We are losing money.
And
what kind of people are losing money and say, let's go and talk first before we stop losing money?
The area that me and you also disagree is this, and some people have told you that. What we lack in securing our country internally is that same patriotism.
Thank you.
Our leaders are not patriotic.
Thank you.
It's not
People
hard.
are
By
not.
the way, Steph,
People are not.
No, let me ask you. Do you think that?
let me update you on what happened last week,
No, let
right?
me drop this down. You can continue. Just one point.
Okay, I wanted to say something that you could wrap up whatever you're saying with it.
Okay.
But okay. I was gonna say that what forefathers is taking advantage of, saying that we're not secure. Let's say Fulani herdsmen coming, encroaching into our forest and taking over our land. I showed him last week. That's not insecurity. That is a plan. I showed him that at the United Nations, the deputy deputy secretary general, I gave him the name, at Amina Jane Mohammed, right? It's right there. It's been there since 2017 and had other smaller roles. That particular post is huge. To be a deputy secretary general is the fourth person to ever hold that post. It's the biggest post occupied by a Nigerian in the world. It's bigger than president of Nigeria. That particular woman is there.
No, I don't think it's bigger than the president of Nigeria.
What I'm saying is that if you look at actually,
even Okonjo wields more power than her.
It's not. No,
I've been around UN and
I know, but listen to me. The United Nations is big, all right? It's just that nobody's using it these days. Ever since these people came in there, including the
What is the
Secretary
point?
General. The point I'm making is that having people relocate where there's desertification, an active desert, and then relocate all of those people in the Sahel in Nigeria is the plan. The United Nations made a finding, and not only just because of that woman being there, because you have to look at her. Very beautiful, looks like Queen Elizabeth. That's a real Fulani woman. Don't look at people like El-Rufai. They're just as dark as Odi and I here, right?
So because she's light, that's why she's beautiful. Can we move on,
No,
please?
but what I'm saying is that it's a real Fulani woman. Don't mind the new, like when I was growing up, it's a long time ago, right? I could be your dad, for example, for finance. We know what a Fulani was. A Fulani is not these Africans who, like El-Rufai or somebody like that. A Fulani is a Fulani. They have different nose, different hair, different skin color, right? But what I'm saying is, I told you, and you looked at it like you're doing now. You gazed at it, but you keep mum. You don't talk about it. So you're a hypocrite. You don't believe in security.
Can I address the point you made? You are saying
Steph had something you wanted to say. I want to comment.
It's a conspiracy to take land from Nigerians and hand it over to people from the Sahel. Yeah, am I correct? So
yes.
Let's say there was a conspiracy to do that. How do you prevent it?
You get good leaders that will recall that woman. In essence, if I come in there, the first thing I would do is to recall her. She won't be there, right? Because
so
she got the UN. Okay. She got the UN wrapped up.
The woman is not sitting in Nigeria. The people that should be sitting in Nigeria are the people that are just like the people that are protecting.
Make your point. This will let you make your point.
Can you stop interrupting me? I have to address the point answered me, because he's saying that there are people that have assigned land to people in the Sahel. But there's no evidence for that.
Add it in what I'm saying.
Please go ahead. There's no evidence for that.
Okay.
Let me change phones. I'll be right back.
Our leaders are not patriotic. That is one of the main reasons why it's difficult for us to solve insecurity in our own country, internal security. That's number one. Then, priorities. We don't set our priorities right. Let me ask you, if you are the president of Nigeria today, how much you are using to build the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, which is an important project. Don't get me wrong. You understand? But in terms of priority, because security is an existential problem. I'm not talking about building nuclear bombs.
Yes.
If you are the president, considering the level of insecurity in the country, will you spend, is it 11 trillion to build that road, or will you commit it to securing the country?
Of course, I will secure the country first.
The effort that this administration is making towards re-election in 2027, if they put the same, not more than, the same amount of effort in arresting the insecurity in the country, do you think they will make more reasonable progress?
They will make far more progress if they secure the country, because the country is bleeding up to $50 billion in GDP every year. If you can save that money, yes, the people will feel it in the economy, and you might be able to even save enough money to even build the coastal highway without borrowing as much. So yes, it's security investment is probably the best investment you can make in Nigeria right now, especially in manpower. But you see them doing that? They don't do that, and that they promised it too. This is another thing. They actually promised it in their manifesto. All the presidential candidates to tell you that they know.
Yeah,
they're not stupid. They know the problem.
They are not doing it because they are not patriotic. That's the main thing I'm trying. That's the word I keep hammering on.
That's been my hope.
But I'm not arguing. My argument is not about the character of the leaders.
Steph,
my argument is my argument is on the merit of securing the country based on manpower.
Steph, I have to charge you for
why I'm laying this foundation is because you cannot build something on nothing.
Steph, this is plagiarism.
I agree with that point. So, but that was never my debate.
The effort, at this stage, the effort should be, how do we get patriotic leaders?
Steph, this is plagiarism.
These are the kind of
This is plagiarism. I have to show you.
I can listen to what you are saying now, even if I don't agree with what you are saying. Those patriotic leaders.
Steph, I need your address. I have to send you a lawsuit.
So those patriotic, okay, let's say it's about patriotism. But when you say the leaders are not going to do it because they are not patriotic, still, in other words, they will not refuse to do it. That is true. But if you have a leader that is willing to do it and is looking to do it, the solution you want to go for is, first, you want to get the manpower in there to take land away from these criminals so that they cannot be able to operate. Okay. But that debate, sorry, let me just finish my point, 15 seconds. That debate is the one people are arguing with me on. Some of them, they'll be like, why do you need manpower? Why do you need manpower? Why do you need to take everywhere? You need to worry about talking about marginalization or talking about education and stuff like that first. That is the one I have an issue with. I don't have an issue with unpatriotic Nigerians.
Let me address you on that issue. Let me address on that issue. On that issue, I don't think there's anybody that would argue with you that the first thing is not to secure the country, but to secure the country internally is the first thing, priority.
Yes, of course, yes.
You understand? And in securing the country internally, the leader could adopt whatever approach that he feels like will give the result. You understand? Efficiently. If it is more boots on the ground, it's up to him, because we trust him because he's patriotic. He knows, he understands the job. We should trust him to give us results, however he do it, whatever it will take. But if you ask me,
being fair doesn't mean that I get to be cheated on this thing. I have to also talk.
If you ask me,
it looks like being fair means
for 5 minutes.
Being fair means I don't get to say anything.
And you took out the time when I started talking. So,
if I say something,
I'm rounding up, I'm rounding up.
I've left you people to be talking.
Coming to the argument of the other time,
I just have a lawsuit against
the other time where forefather was trolling somebody. I speak the truth, telling him if you are well trained and they give you 10 people, are you going to be there? Say yes. What are 15 people? No, listen, it's not just being well trained. If you are well trained and equipped, one soldier can take away 100.
But why do we think like this, though?
Let me explain
something to you. Let
me trigger for forefathers.
Sorry. Hold on.
You're trying to trigger him.
You know why I like to go to Steph, because at least he likes to reason to the end of it.
In modern warfare,
I will ask you a question after you.
Steph, this is trigger. I was in that discussion. You're
let me
trying
ask.
to.
Let me ask Steph now. Let me ask Steph the question. So you said that gun will be able to kill multiple people. You know that what gun
It's not
is?
just gun. Listen.
Okay, drones, whatever you want to call it.
Listen. My argument is that if I am in charge, Nigeria don't have an external threat presently.
First mistake. That's the first mistake you've just made.
I'm coming. I'm gonna prove that to you. I'm gonna take care of it, but that's not priority. So I'm gonna recruit more police people and train them than increasing our soldiers to 1 million. No.
So in other words, the current politicians we have are better than you.
I'm coming.
Even P2B said he was going to recruit 1 million.
Let me tell you something now. Allow me to talk. I'm going to recruit more police, train them to help me in achieving that objective of internal security. For the issue of increasing the number of our soldiers, that's going to come in phases. But if you look at countries like Singapore and the rest of the Asian tigers, it was the right leadership that transformed their economy. Not because I don't think the Singapore have had any maybe just like I don't think they have built a nuclear weapon or have competing with US in terms of jet fighters and the rest of them.
They don't need to compete with the US because they are not
that's
at
what
that
I'm
level.
saying. So if you don't have that kind of external aggression that is going to require that kind of combating with the world powers, why would you invest that kind of money?
Can I have my say now? Can I have my say?
Okay,
actually,
please go ahead.
I'll come after.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to ask him a question. Hold on, let me ask him that question.
You should go after me. That was
about that first
multiplier.
I wanted to deal with that force multiplier question that he asked.
It's unfair the way
about technology.
That's a trigger for
do you believe that? What do you think about? Okay, if you have one technology that is going to help you accomplish a security challenge efficiently, do you understand that if you have two of that technology, two people carrying that same technology will accomplish it faster? 2, 3, 4. So you see, in reality, numbers matters even with technology.
When you get to that level,
but
because we're talking about internal security, and we're talking about military and internal security.
There is already insecurity all around Nigeria.
Yes.
And you are waiting for, and if you look at all our neighbors,
when you engage when you have the right strategy, you don't need to double your military to take care of it. You need to double your police force to work in consonance with the locals.
Why are we so? Is it a genetic thing now where we instinctively don't want to secure ourselves? Why?
In that axis where this issue is coming from.
Why are we so scared about? I don't understand
it. About securing us, and you're not talking about.
Why are we so against it?
What square feet of our border can be fenced?
I think the CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, is saying that we should fence our border recently.
That's what I'm saying.
But you still have to defend it.
Yeah, you defend it, but it makes it easier. That's what I'm saying. Smartness, right strategy.
Yeah, because
you don't need to.
I'm not against strategy, but if you see, when they say the term, they use the term force multiplier.
You are mixing.
You have to have enough force to multiply.
Your
I'm gonna have to take my. Let me make my say. Let me. No. Steph, you're not going to bend.
No, nobody is trying to compete. So why are you so scared about competing in the world anyway?
I'm not scared, but I'm saying get the right thing first.
But this is a dead end now. Why are we doing
because
we've been having a good discussion. This is a dead end.
There was a time I was asking you a lot of questions and Steph was waiting, remember. To have a good police force, the shell of the police force is the military. Police force is just an internal layer of security, but the external layer that ensures that elements that can surpass the police are not able to operate in your territory.
Look at what I'm proposing. If you are able to fence your border, you deploy the military along that axis. Equip your police force to fight from inside. You're going to crush them.
So what are you
With the right
saying? Fence?
intelligence.
Hold on. You're saying fence our border. What are you talking about, brother?
Of course, you don't know you're supposed to fence your border.
Which fence? Who's fencing? Which fence? What do you mean? Like
The chief
That's
of
what
defense
Donald
staff wants to
Trump
fence the
do.
border. I
That's
don't
what
have any.
Donald Trump is doing.
I don't have
You
any issue with whether if you want to fence the border, anything that multiplies our
have to fence
capability.
it.
I don't have any
you
issue with
don't.
that.
You see,
My point
Fence
is
it
that
and
you need
survive with
manpower.
drones.
how many
But why
borders have you gone
hold
to in
on.
Nigeria?
This thing, I'm beginning to think that anybody that just
How many
the next time I hear
feet
anybody
is it?
hold on. The next time I hear Nigerians talk about technology, they're going to drive me crazy. It's like we are obsessed with talking about technology as if technology is magic. Drones need battery. They are not going to arrest anybody. You need people. All the countries that have drones, I don't know how many times I will repeat it. All the countries that have drones more than us, have aircraft more than us, have more people than us. They still have more people than us. Why do you think they have more people? Even with more drones. But yet we keep talking as if drones are magic. You need the people there.
Steph, can we just move on with this discussion? Because
I don't understand why.
this I told you, this is a
Did they do
trigger.
juju for us? It's like, is it juju? Did
But
they do juju for us?
you just decided to go and trigger
They
forefathers.
have
Let me
more
have.
drones and they still have more people. How can we not get this? This is so simple.
So I've tried to avoid this argument, but I'll tell you.
I can't understand it. I don't
Okay,
understand it.
hold on now. Let me
What kind of juju be this one?
let me have my own say here.
I kept
I
telling
do
Dr.
agree.
Damages not to allow forefathers to host a show here.
No. I think
Nobody.
let's
When
move
I
on
was
from
saying
here.
it, you do it.
Hold on. So
The reason why we're stuck
I
here is
actually
because
do
he's hosting
agree
a
with
show here.
forefathers.
That's all. That's what he's doing.
I do agree with forefathers. I don't agree with him a lot, but I agree with him that the more the merrier. Look, we need to have more numbers in the military, in the police. We don't need to reduce one to get one more in the other one. I think Steph just came to troll you, and he got you just right in the spots he wanted you, and you just flew off. Look, nobody can say that if you can get Nigeria to have a military of 1 million, soldiers, that's okay. There's no problem with that. But I did make a point to you previously. I said, look, if this was Abacha in power, trust me, you will not have Boko Haram. It's not going to mess around with that.
Abacha wasn't around when Gaddafi fell and weapons were
But you've made these points
all over
before
the
now.
scene. I don't know why we just assume that it's not
You
going to
made these
happen.
points before.
We're never that secure.
Okay, Pansat,
Why don't we move
go to
forward?
town.
Yeah,
But you're going to be saying the same. Don't trigger for fathers.
No, we're
Let's
not.
talk
I'm not.
about something.
Why do you keep saying don't trigger me? Stop it,
What I'm
Jerry.
saying
What
is
do you mean?
when Eccentricate asked me a question, when I was saying, of which I made everything to come under threat assessment. Now he used an acronym which is SWOT. He says to me, okay, what is the SWOT in the case of Nigeria? SWOT being acronym for.
Oh my God!
What is it?
SWOT is something. It's a way you assess a business, for crying out loud. Why?
No,
Why?
SWOT is. I was going to tell you what it is.
Not only business, can also use the country.
It's acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities,
and threats.
Right? That's SWOT. Now, to me, that's a long way of saying threat assessment. Because when you're doing your threat assessment, you're going to be putting on one side your opportunities, your strengths, and then you're going to look at what you're going to use to combat whatever you come up. At the end of it, you're going to say, okay, this is how we're going to take care of this threat, right? But in order to check you, though, forefathers, to know if you really believe in our security, I gave you a name of Amina J. Mohammed as deputy of the United Nations. I say it's a Fulani woman.
You're still back here again.
No, listen to what I'm saying. It's my turn now.
Talking about that
Hold on,
woman now.
hold on.
That woman
You're
doesn't
talking
have
about this
any
woman
power.
too much
Hold
now.
on, please.
He has no
Let's do SWOT
relevance.
analysis now. Let's do the SWOT analysis.
It's just like we have some agenda.
Listen to me. One of the problems you have, and I told you that earlier on when you came here.
I know.
You were new on this platform. Maybe you came last year, right? I was there when you came.
Me? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't. Well, anyway, I didn't come last year, but that's fine. But I think
Hold
my
on
brother,
now.
hold on. I think you should leave that woman alone.
I'm not.
That woman has no power. She can't do anything.
Look at
She's
this.
just a figurehead. She makes some people happy that she's there. You see, even the Secretary General can't stop the war in Gaza. He's going there every day and crying.
Look at this. You don't know.
If he's not careful, they'll bomb him there.
No,
if he goes to Gaza and he doesn't tell Israel, they'll
one of the
bomb him
problems I
there.
have with you supporting me is that, right? In essence, I don't want you supporting me. I've told you that when on any issue we're talking about, it could be our elections, right? You cannot.
But we align mostly, though. You know, you don't have a choice.
You like water. Sometimes you're like ice cube. The other times you're a liquid in a cup, and then the other time you're like vapor. What I'm saying to you is that if you,
I'm independent-minded. That's what you say.
If you say that woman has no power, then which means you don't know what's going on. That is one of the most powerful.
I'm not saying she doesn't have power. I'm just saying, why are you making her so popular? She's irrelevant right now.
Because you have to look at what is her. Remember, she used to be the environmental czar in Nigeria under Buhari administration for 2015. Because this is, if you care about our security, this is what you have to know. You just don't have those people coming from the Sahel to Nigeria for nothing. The UN have to make a finding that there is active desertification, and those people have to be moved. Of which I have some kind of sympathy for that. I don't want human beings where they don't have vegetation and stuff like that. So you don't understand that if 1,000 people was killed in Nigeria in 2015, right? If somebody else was there, let's say Odi or me was at the United Nations, and Erufai, Buhari, and that chief of army staff goes to Zaria and massacre those Shiites, I will come to the United Nations in a dramatic calling. They will do something about it. You have to go to the United Nations. That's who's going to be able to save some of the problems we're having, especially in the security.
What does you got to do is SWOT analysis, please?
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Listen to me. It's my turn, so let me just take my time. I'll cover everything, right? Who else you want to hear from? You want to hear from me? I'm looking at
you. Can you highlight? Can you highlight that someone made a comment? Can you highlight that?
Which one?
About your similarity to Pansat?
No, it's not. He and I have nothing in common. What I'm saying is this. Here is a guy who's complaining that we have no security, right? I'm saying to you is that if you have the United Nations pulled out report they have, and if I remove that woman from there, we won't have any problem with Hartsman.
Wow.
We'll have zero.
So
that's how important. Listen to me now. But you don't want. I don't know if are you even reading it, because when I'm talking, you keep doing what you normally do, which is like you're reading it from ChatGPT or something like that. Are you even reading what I'm saying? Googling her name, see what her background is. Was she in the environment from 2015 to then 2017 when she was promoted? And did she work with Kagame or whatever his name is in
Rwanda?
In Rwanda, right? Did they work together as chairwoman and vice, or chairman and vice, right? They work together with the United Nations. The guy, Paul Kagame, whatever his name is.
Why
right?
is don't woman so relevant? I still don't get it.
No, but okay, could you? Here's what you do. Can you read it then? Don't make the call.
I don't have any link to read.
Okay, let me just go to Wikipedia and just Google her, deputy.
Wow.
Secretary. If you care about security, you don't care about security. Like me,
I never heard of this woman being the top priority for our security needs.
Okay, but could you? Let's just look at her.
What is her name again?
Amina, even you've never checked this since I've been talking to you about this. Unbelievable.
Because I don't care about that.
Okay, let's see.
Amina what?
Take some of my time. Amina J. Mohammed. Amina J. Mohammed. Or just go
Okay.
Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations.
Yeah, I can see her. She's Nigerian, eh?
It's Nigerian. Fulani. Could you put on the screen?
You are just after Fulani again.
No. Put them on the screen now. I beg. Let other people make the decision. Forget about me. If they look at it and say it has no relevance, then I will never bring it up again. I really appreciate this. Take some of my time to do it. Put what you're reading on the screen, image and otherwise, and her curricula vitae.
Hold on. What am I presenting here? Okay, this thing is in the way. Now we need to take this out. Hold on.
So, what is actually this woman's crime? Because
our crime is existing as a Fulani. Don't you get it? Where persons are seeking people internationally.
Okay. If you see right there, you see Amina J. Mohammed, G-Con. Do you know what a G-Con means? It's a British. It's a British. You're gonna check it. Check it. Just put on top of it. I can read it.
Order of the Niger.
Okay. So listen to this. It's a Nigerian British diplomat and politician who is serving as the 5th Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations. Previously, she was Nigerian Minister of Environment. I can't see. I think you moved too fast. Where am I reading? Okay, right there. Because this is important now. For somebody to be the Minister of Environment with the United Nations, it means a lot. That's who determines that desertification stuff. Okay, so he says, she was Nigerian Minister of Environment from 2015 to 2016 and was a player in the post-2015 development agenda process. Do you know what that is? You could click on that too. Okay, in the United Nations, the post-2015 development agenda was a set of talks and discussion that led to the creation of the 2016 Sustainable Development Goals. This replaced the 2015 Millennium Development. Now, you have to know what that is and what kind of resources is the United Nations putting on there. Are they trying to move those people from the Sahel and relocate them into, say, Nigeria and some other countries, right? That's important. She's also chair of the United Nations Sustainable Development Group. Now, that's another post of hers and that United Nations Sustainable Development Group. Early life. Now, let's go to early life. Let me read that.
Let me ask you direct questions.
Wow,
we don't need to. We can go and read about
this. Is this one?
Let me ask you direct questions.
Yeah. He's wanting us to read early life for crying out loud.
We can't do this on this show. Let me ask you a direct question about this woman.
Yeah.
This woman, do you think that the United Nations, are you saying that United Nations is using this woman to do ethnic cleansing in Nigeria? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, I am. Wow. I'm saying that because you have to look at the dates that she was there and then check the coincidence of what's happening on the ground.
So they are giving the woman grant and she's supporting Boko Haram or something.
Hold on. You have written, but you have the Fulani agenda. You have to look at her fond memories. I have a book where she tells you, hey, look, when I was growing up in the Sahel, we had vegetation, we had XYZ, all that's gone now. And we're going to have to do something.
Let me ask you another question. Was this woman more powerful than Buhari during Buhari's? She was more powerful.
She was more. She's more powerful. Listen to me.
So the woman is more powerful than Tinubu now.
Yes, she is.
And I want to reinforce that question.
Hold on now.
United Nations using her to perpetrate ethnic cleansing, or she's using the umbrella of United Nations to do it?
Okay, what's happening is that if somebody does ethnic cleansing, then you're supposed to run to the United Nations so that they could declare that there's ethnic cleansing going on. So what she's done, she's right there and nothing. If you kill 1,000 Nigerians, it doesn't matter. It doesn't used to be like that. Hold on. Please hold on.
No, hold on. Let me,
hold on. God damn it. Hold on. Let me answer your question. I'm irritated about this. We shouldn't be playing. This is not a joke.
No, but we're going to challenge you. You can't
it's okay with me. You could challenge me, but what I'm saying is that there should not be like a machine gun question as if what I'm saying. This is something I'm proving to you. If you read it, is there. Because when they came in December of 2015, she wasn't at the UN then. 2015 December, they went with Burutai and others to Zaria and massacred a lot of Shia. 1,000 and buried them in the graves, in a mass grave. So they rushed her in there. See, all those things are dead.
I'm trying to share. No, Pansat, let's not go too far. I'm trying to share all the videos of this man. There is nothing that she's doing that involves the Sahel at all.
Let me land one. I think I'm going to take my leave. Let me just.
What do you mean?
Let me summarize my point.
There's nothing she's doing that involves the Sahel.
Because I really don't want to be.
Let me
hold on. Let me summarize my point. What I don't see. I don't believe.
Let Steph go first. Then you can go next.
From what Pansat is saying, the area that I agree with him is that there's this narrative that is being, painted outside the country. Whenever there is this ethnic cleansing going on in the Benue Basin, that they say that is because of climate change, that because of climate change, the farmers are fighting with the herders because the herders are looking for how to feed their cattle. You understand? And the reason why that narrative is gaining momentum in the Western countries is what Pansat is saying. The person behind it, you understand, or that is influencing it, is that woman. You understand? So in as much as
it's from ChatGTP,
there is a little bit of.
I don't want you here. I don't want you. You know what? You and Ode, that'll be you, Steph. You know our history on this platform, right? Why I don't want you reinterpreting what I'm saying is because you wanna be nice.
No, what I'm saying, what I understand from it.
But what I'm saying, I also want to be nice.
So I'm not
I want to be liked, right? I want to be, I want to get along. But what I'm saying, no, but that's what I'm saying though. If you are gonna tell the truth, forefathers likes to question somebody with proof. He will look it up and stuff. If I say something that's outside of what's happening, then you could come at me. But if you really want to get to know what's driving policy, why are Nigerians being killed and it looks like we're ants, there's nobody to hear our story. The Shias in Zaria have nowhere to go, so there'll be an investigation. The kids of when people are massacred on what is that protest they had here a few years ago, right?
Oh my God! I think we've crossed 3 hours. So I need to end the show.
Okay, so let me land my. Let me just summarize.
What I'm saying is that if you care about insecurity, then you have to, whether you go to bed or not go to bed, you have to investigate everything. In essence,
so Pansat. No, hold on now. You people have said. Let me say my last word.
What prevents your own government from investigating it internally?
Hold on, you have said.
Let's allow Odi to say something before he leaves. So we can call it a day.
Yeah. Let's see. There is a Fulani redentism. There is problem that even forefathers did allude to the point. There are people who are trying to take people's land in Nigeria. There's no question about that. You know, the idea that United Nations have become this organ that can stop people in their tracks. For me, I don't agree with it. Nigeria has no veto power in the United Nations. For you to get anything across that makes anything, you have to be one of the big five. Okay, or get one of the big five. No, let me just land.
I'm not
going to let you. No,
hold on.
No, I'm going to finish my point.
You're going to, I'm saying, let me just make one.
We are already over time,
Let me finish my point. You need to have one of the big five to speak for you to be able to get your point across. I think in Nigeria, we get so obsessed with the Fulani issue that will make them bigger. They are suffering more than anybody in Nigeria. They're one of the least educated And the idea of bringing up the Shia issue to become part of, as if it's almost an ethnic issue. The Shiites are not even better than the Sunnis in Nigeria. They are even, they believe they have more authority than even the Sunni Muslims in Nigeria. Actually, in my own opinion, they are worse with their belief than the Sunni. Personally, I don't have any type of, they are the one protesting in the streets of Nigeria about the strikes
Then they should be massacred.
in Iran.
So they should be massacred because you don't like them, right?
Anything
I didn't say I don't
anything
like them. I'm just
tend to
saying
like
that
it.
we can make
you
their
making?
issue to become an ethnic issue.
Forefathers, can you, while they're talking, right? Can you just show that
Okay.
particular link? Just show the link on the screen.
Not at the moment. Let me thank people for coming in.
Divide cannot become. We can't make it an ethnic issue in Nigeria, and the idea that what's going on in Zamfara, we can piece it away from mineral control and now say, oh, it's all the woman in UN that we need to remove. I can guarantee you, if we remove that woman will leave. Nothing will change. It will even get worse.
Okay, can
That's
I
my
respond
point.
to? Let me
No. Sorry. No. We are out of time, Pansa. We are out of time. I'm sorry.
Again, okay?
I'm sorry, Pansa. We are out of time. Mark Eneli, thank you for coming in. Tiffany Morris, Guy Onwalale, Mr. Show, thank you for joining us. Fidel, thank you for joining us. Tracy Jacobin, a Black Beauty, I see you there. And all of you that I didn't call, and my apologies. Thank you all for joining us. We have to close that for now. Thank you. Till next time. Let me play us out with some nice.
On your show again.
Come on, man.
You unfair.
We are bad.
You're being unfair now.
Come on, let's not do that.
You're not pursuing the truth like I thought you normally would.
Let's do this. Oh, where is it?